Right. Hello, welcome one and all to the Lucky Hit Podcast, episode
Welcome.
83. And straight, we've got Pickle Man right here. Hello.
Hello.
On the 10th of August 2020, a guy that's in the chat quite often. He was here last night as well. Yeah.
Oh, didn't see him. Hi there.
Yeah. Welcome, as I said, welcome to the Lucky Hit Podcast, episode 83. It's very hot. I'm melting. It's not a milestone, but it's a very big number. I like this big number. It's getting bigger. Every time we do one of these, it goes up a number. I think that's how these things work anyway. Yeah, so...
That's what she's...
The numbers go up, that's what she said, yeah. Right, I am the Gagaman.
I'm Cherry Terrier.
We'll do this now.
I'm ShelvedGamer.
I'm Hunk Thunder.
And I'm Elk. And I'm going to do my damnedest to try and get through this podcast without bursting out in hysterical laughter. No, I'm just kidding.
we won't. I won't play any like random samples of like Looney Tunes characters this time. It's all right.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, quick little update about the YouTube channel that you are watching right now. Basically, I discovered earlier today while I was editing a video that YouTube has decided to put millions of adverts on most of our videos, like way too many. So I've spent most of the day, and I've still got loads to get through, but I've been going through every video and basically making sure there isn't like 20 adverts at the start of every live stream that we've done in recent memory, because for some reason I think they're basing it on how many like time codes there are, and then they're just shoving them all at the start like 2 minutes apart, and it's ridiculous. It's like no one's going to watch our stuff if they've got adverts every 2 minutes. So I've basically just been going through every single video and just like, you know, deleting most of those. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah, do that for us.
Especially when those ads are for some of the weirdest mobile games you've ever seen. Like, have you seen most of these?
Most of them just look like the same stuff. It's just like the same old like war thing from a isometric perspective with like a million people
Raid
throwing
Shadow
arrows
Legends?
or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I'm not getting paid to talk about them or anything. I actually ain't. So.
You don't get paid from these ads? Oh, that blows.
No, I don't get paid to mention Raid Shadow Legends because I know nothing about it except that everyone shrills it.
What you're saying is you're not specifically sponsored by any of these companies, like the dudes who make Raid Shadow Legends.
No.
Certainly not.
I don't like to say I'm above that kind of thing, but like I just can't be bothered. Like, I don't think. I don't think we need to.
No,
I'm not that desperate, you know.
By the way, this episode of Lucky Hit Podcast is sponsored by Ridge Wallet.
What?
I wish.
I don't actually know that one. Yesterday's live stream was brought to you by Quavers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That sounds familiar.
The Amiga stream. That was a fun one. But yeah, it is very hot to do live streams at the moment. So I should have Thursday off, so I should be getting back into Spelunky for Thursday. Fingers crossed. If not, it'll be a different day, but I'll let you know nearer the time. Basically, because they announced the release date for Spelunky 2, I now have a friggin' deadline to actually get to hell in that game and maybe do a hell run. So, speaking of that, apparently the PC version, like the Steam version, is going to be slightly later than the PS4 version, but I don't know what the exact date is yet. So I've got a little bit more time because I don't have a PS4. So that gives me a little bit more time, but really I'd like to get it done by that September, 14th release date if I can. So I'm going to have to get a lot of practice in between actually playing it on stream. See how it goes. I've been playing that game for like, 7 years? And I think I've only got to hell once or twice, and both times I died immediately, so...
Pressure's on.
Yeah, it is a bit. But because I'd really like to get it done before the sequel comes out, so I can just start immediately doing weekly streams of the sequel, because I'd love to do that. I'd love to be in there from ground zero, you know, like just be able to play it alongside everyone else discovering things for the first time. I think that'd be pretty cool, because I might even discover something that no one has yet or something. But you know, it would be a cool time. Plus, there's supposed to be loads of like online stuff in this new one. You can actually play online in this one, so that's cool. Right, so with all that out of the way, let's talk about what we've been playing. And I don't know who wants to go first. Oh, I forgot to mention Elk's back.
Oh yes,
because you had a power cut, didn't you? And it literally just got back. You literally just got it all back yesterday.
last night by us.
Yeah, just in time for to catch the last hour or so of your Amiga stream. What happened was, if anyone's heard of Tropical Storm Isaias, that actually raged through my my area in the U.S. last week.
Oh dear.
So for almost a week, I've been without power, internet, or running water.
Yikes.
Yeah, but like other than that, there wasn't much damage. The worst that happened was there was a tree that fell near my home, but got caught by a bunch of other trees, so it didn't actually hit the ground.
Oh, well, that's something.
Well, fortunate that nothing too permanent happened.
Yeah, there was branches everywhere though, and at least one road nearby had a tree that fell over it. But as far as I know, nobody was hurt.
Oh, that's alright.
Yeah, Pickle Man says glad you're okay, Elk, as well. So.
Oh, thank you very much, Pickle Man. Yeah, it's been a rough week, but yeah, everything's cool now. Well, kind of. There's still people around here without power, but you know,
it's getting there. Yeah, they're working on it. I don't think I've ever experienced like a massive power cut myself. Maybe like little minor ones that last like an evening, maybe. But that's about it. I don't think we've ever had anything that major here, because I suppose we don't have as extreme weather.
No,
I think about it. Our weather's pretty.
We've
cold.
actually had much worse once before. A few years ago, there was a hurricane here. I forget what it was called, but that time we had no power or internet for about 2 weeks.
that's got to screw with some essential stuff like, you know, fridge freezers and things like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got a lot of ice cream for my birthday, August 7th, by the way.
That timing! Ouch! Happy birthday! Here's some stuff that you need to put in the fridge. Oh dear, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of stuff. I bought a bunch of stuff last month for my birthday, including ice cream. All of it melted.
You didn't get any of those like bubble gum-eyed Sonics or anything, did you?
No, I didn't get any of those.
But
yeah,
you could have just shown us photos of a melting Sonic face from the lack of fridge.
God, I wish. Oh, and there was also an online retro gaming convention I wanted to attend this weekend. Long Island Retro Gaming Expo set up an online convention called Uplink because their usual convention had to be called off due to a certain global health crisis. And kind of hard to take part in an online convention without power or internet. And I'm especially mad about that because I was looking forward to this for a month. And we got 2 local retro gaming conventions that would have happened in September, both of which got called off. Sorry. So this is my last chance to have a retro gaming convention this year, and now that's gone. It's all gone.
2020, everyone.
Yep, it's great.
Right, it's a great year.
God, this year blows.
It's the year.
Well, at least there's still PAX Online next month. It's not a retro gaming convention, but it's something.
That's linked up with EGX over here.
Oh, it has, hasn't it? Yeah, they're doing a joint thing, yeah.
Because it's owned by the same company.
Oh, are they? I didn't actually know that. Huh.
I didn't know that either. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't really want to say it, but it could become PAX UK at some point, but that's another story.
If they needed to rebrand, that would make sense.
Yeah,
if there was
but-
any reason for them to rebrand anyway.
yeah, but yeah, that's if it happens. I didn't say anything just then.
And none of what you just heard ever happened. Ooh.
Yeah.
I wish we could say that about this year.
Yeah.
None of this year ever happened, including oh, by the way, I should probably mention we have gone over 100 videos this year on the channel.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the 102nd. 102nd? Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
102nd.
I thought you eclipsed 100 videos a while ago. That was only recent?
For this year.
Yeah, for this year, yeah.
Oh, for this year.
Yeah. We've done loads previously, but we're actually getting close to beating our record for most videos in 1 year, and the difference being this year they're all live streams instead of like edited videos, which obviously means they're longer. But yeah.
So what was the record before?
I think our top record is like 2016. I think it was like 130 videos or something like that. So we're getting there.
We could do
I
that.
think
I
we'll
reckon.
smash that this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering we didn't start this till midway through the year as well.
Yeah, I did a handful of stuff before the lockdown and that, but yeah. Obviously we'll slow down a little bit now that we're back to work and stuff, but we'll still keep at the very least the podcast going, but I also want to get Splunky kicked off and stuff. So right. As I say, let's go into what we've been playing, I guess. I don't know who wants to start. I guess maybe, because I know you were saying, Elk, that you did actually have your systems all charged up while you were trapped in lack of electricityness or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to go first? Or...
Yeah, I guess, if you're offering. Because I usually go last. Yeah, thankfully I do keep a bunch of power banks handy, including one of those Nintendo Switch branded power banks. So I kept my Switch charged the whole time.
Oh, nice.
I'll say this right off the bat, though. I'll tell you what I haven't been playing throughout most of the week. PlayStation Online 2.
PlayStation Online?
Wait, what? Oh, wow. Yeah. I meant to say Phantasy Star Online 2. Oh,
I was going to say, that would be a bit difficult.
Why can't I say Phantasy Star lately? But yeah, I did actually play it last night after your Amiga stream was done.
Oh,
because
cool.
I really wanted to see the new events going on. Everything's been decked out. So like, there's a beach in Franca's Cafe now. There's a Beach Wars Urgent Quest, which I got to take part in a few times. That was great. Can't wait to do more of that.
I've actually got the game installed now, since it has actually come out here on Steam. So I have. It took a long time to install, but I have it. I haven't got around to playing it yet, but it's there.
Yeah, me too.
I'm gonna get around to it.
Did one of you use the referral code I showed you in the Discord?
I did.
Oh yeah, because I got a alert when I started the game last night that someone used that code. Yeah, we'll get a bunch of cool items after you level up to a certain point.
Cool.
Nice.
But anyway, most of the time I spent playing games on my Switch and 3DS. So most of the time on the 3DS was playing more Miitopia. But I haven't actually reached a new area in the game yet, so I don't have any more wacky characters to report, except for one.
I was looking forward to hearing about how this merchant in this shop was Sans from Undertale.
No, there's no Sans. Maybe later.
But
sure
I can almost guarantee there will be a Sans at some point. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
I will put money down on that.
Okay. Well, I did come across a mailman who sends me letters from characters I met previously in the game.
Was it Postman Pat?
What?
Was it Postman Pat?
No. It was actually Ugandan Knuckles.
Oh, for God's sake. That's still a thing, apparently? Or was this me made like, what? 12 years
I don't
ago,
know what it
however
was.
long ago it was.
I don't know when the Mii was made. The game doesn't tell you, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a holdover from a few years ago.
Please tell me it wasn't recently.
I haven't seen a lot of characters in the game that are actually relevant, aside from like Marshmallow. the EDM producer
Oh,
that
yeah.
I talked about last time.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know why, but my mind immediately went to the marshmallow from Homestar Runner.
I was expecting
when
you
you
to
said
say
marshmallow, that was the first thing I thought of. I don't know why.
Oh, I know.
I was
what he's- yeah.
I was expecting you to say the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
That would probably
But-
be the second thing.
When I played on my Switch, though, I mostly played retro games just to save battery power.
Mhm.
So I played a lot. Yeah, I played a lot of the Super Nintendo games for the most part because one of my personal traditions for my birthday is that for the month of August, I like to go back to stuff from the 90s, usually stuff I actually experienced at the time, because it's the very first decade where I was alive. So I played a lot of these Super Nintendo games in the app that I actually had growing up. Stuff like Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Kirby Superstar, Super Punch-Out,
Nice.
Stunt Race FX. I managed to get to the expert Grand Prix in Stunt Race FX, the third one, which I don't remember playing much as a kid. And I could see why, because it's especially difficult. I couldn't make it past the second racetrack.
It's a hard game.
Yeah, it's a hard game, especially because it's got some really weird physics. If you actually crash into a wall in that game, it takes a while for you to actually get off the wall.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting game, but I really like it.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
that's
dig
just nostalgia talking, but
nah, it's not. I didn't play that game until about 10 years ago, and I really digged it.
Yeah, it's
neat.
pretty fun.
Did you see there was a prototype of that game amongst the Nintendo Giga Leak where basically there's no track, there's just a straight road. You drive for about 3 seconds and then you finish the race, and then it just does it again and again.
I did not see that, actually.
They built the engine, but they haven't actually built any tracks yet, so you literally just drive forward a bit and that's it.
I did not know about that, actually.
Yeah, I think it had a different name as well, or it might have just been the Japanese name. Like Wild Tracks.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, wasn't that game called Wild Tracks in Europe, not Stunt Race FX?
No, it was Stunt Race here.
Yeah.
Oh, it was? Okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's the Japanese name then.
Yeah, it is. That's the copy I've got a cartridge of. It's the Japanese one.
Yeah, Wild Tracks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I still actually have the US game that I had growing up
That's cool.
of Stunt Race FX. I still have the instruction manual too, which is good because Nintendo still doesn't provide those in their Nintendo Switch Online apps.
Yeah.
Which is why I had such
that's
a hard
ridiculous.
time playing Natsume Championship Wrestling, because I have no idea how that game works.
I mean, it's a wrestling game. They're all like that.
Yeah.
You just bash buttons
it's
and
a
hope for the
wrestling
best.
Like, I can't do anything in that game. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I'm not entirely sure if instructions would help, to be honest.
No, we played it on
I'm sure
stream and just.
I'm sure it'd be nice to give people some idea of what they're supposed to do besides just keep mashing buttons as fast as you can, which is what it says in the description of the game. So yeah, it actually took me a while to actually get around to trying that game and Donkey Kong Country in that app, which Donkey Kong Country was another game I had growing up. I remember I was super hyped for that game when it was announced.
Isn't that like the best-selling game that isn't a pack-in title on the Super
Kong
Nintendo?
Country?
I do believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure actually.
I'd be curious.
It was a pack-in title at some point though, for North America anyway.
Yeah.
That game was a huge deal when it came out. I still
really
remember.
Was, yeah. You couldn't get away from it. Like, it was just, they were like, "This is the future of video games. Look at this future."
Ever since I saw that game, I was 100% on board with 3D rendered graphics and 16-bit games at the time. Pretty much any game I saw that had that kind of look to it, I loved it instantly. Whether it was like
Balls 3D.
what else did that? No,
I mean, technically, that's not the same thing.
I don't
but-
think I mean, I guess, but I don't think I'd even heard of that game at the time.
You're lucky.
Vector Man did it. Sonic 3D Blast did it. I wanted so much to play those games, and I had Vector Man, not Sonic. Well, I did have the PC version of Sonic 3D Blast, but
Hmm.
anyway, speaking of Sonic, I also played a lot of Sonic 2, the Sega Ages version on Nintendo
Nice.
Switch.
That's on sale right now.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and it's a nice version of the game. I mean, it's not the Taxman and Stealth version that's on mobile, but I still think it's a pretty cool version of Sonic 2.
Hmm.
I mean, if only for the fact that it gives you the drop dash from Sonic Mania,
That is cool.
That is
which
very
is
nice.
still not, which is ironically still not in the Taxman and Stealth versions of that or Sonic 1.
That'd be because they were made before Mania.
Yeah,
and they haven't been
they were
patched.
before
So.
Mania. They were before Mania, and the mobile versions do get updated usually still, but it's all just like bug fixes and
Probably just to make it compatible with whatever
Yeah,
resolution Apple decides to make their next phone.
yeah,
Oh,
but
we're
they
going to make
don't.
this one really long, and we're going to make this one square, and we're going to make this one hexagonal.
This one's
You should see what that game looks like in the ultra widescreen modes.
I bet that looks pretty cool, actually.
Some mobile versions,
I could see
that
that
some
being cool.
mobile devices apparently have. Sega Forever actually shared some videos of the game in ultra widescreen, and it looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Monster
You can
Boy
see like
has
half the level.
Yeah. And by the way, when I played Sega Ages Sonic 2, I actually beat the game with all the Chaos Emeralds for the very first time while playing as
Oh.
Knuckles.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've never been able to do that before.
Knuckles is not
But-
easy in that game.
No, but I did notice that...
Depends. I mean, the bosses are harder because he doesn't jump as high, but you can sort of just fly over a lot of the levels.
Yeah, a lot of the places you can just glide over easily.
Mm.
But yeah, and I also noticed that apparently in the Knuckles game, when you exit the special stages, Knuckles keeps all of his rings.
Ah, that's interesting.
Which I was asking people in the Sega Bits Discord about this, and they were telling me that apparently that was something that happened in the original version of Sonic 2 with Knuckles.
Oh, maybe there's some kind of quirk that came from them plugging it into Sonic and Knuckles or something. Maybe that's how
Maybe.
the special stages worked in Sonic and Knuckles, so maybe it just carried over in some weird way.
Maybe, but it's weird because it sounds like the kind of thing that I doubt was intentional.
Yeah, that sounds like a oversight, because when you think about it, with the special stages, in Sonic 2 you can technically get pretty much all the Chaos Emeralds within the first like 3 levels, because you can go into a checkpoint, come back out, collect another 50 rings, jump in another checkpoint, get another one, jump out. But if you've already got 50 or however many rings you had when you went in, when you come back out, does that mean you can just find another checkpoint and immediately jump in?
Yeah, that's how
Hypothetically.
it worked for me most of the time.
Wow, so it's a
Since
bit
we
of a
had all
shortcut,
these rings,
actually.
I could just easily breeze toward the next checkpoint while I'm Knuckles and just go straight to the special stage. And then because of that, even if I lost a special stage, I would still easily remember what that stage was like, so I'd have an easier time with it the next go around.
Random little little memory of Knuckles in Sonic 2. The first time I ever played it, first time I put Sonic 2 on my copy of Sonic and Knuckles, and I got to Chemical Plant Zone. I was like, oh, there's these big tall structures that you can't jump up. I'm going to climb up in. It's a really long climb. You get all the way up to the top. And I was like, oh, they've put a life up here. And I glided along, dropped down onto another one. Oh, there's another life. And then I glided along, and there was another life. I was like, that just blew my brains. It was like, were these lives always here, just waiting for Knuckles? As a kid, I was like, those lives must have always been there. I just assumed that they were always there.
Yeah,
It's
well,
unreachable.
I actually got a bit of trivia for you that M2 revealed in an interview about Sega Ages Sonic 2. Apparently, Sonic 2 with Knuckles is actually a completely separate ROM. What happens is when you put Sonic 2 in the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge, it's not patching Sonic 2 like you'd think. It's actually unlocking a completely separate ROM, which I assume is contained in the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge.
So that's a big cartridge.
Wow, that's interesting. Does that mean like surely people would find a way to unlock it without the Sonic 2 cartridge using like Game Genie or something, but maybe
I don't know.
it must need some. It probably needs like the graphic data from Sonic 2 in some.
It might not
fashion.
have the tiles or something. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's got all the data, like the programming of Sonic 2, but it hasn't got like the graphics.
I'm not
possibly?
sure exactly, but people have extracted the Sonic 2 with Knuckles ROM before to
Yeah.
run in like emulators.
Hmm.
And of course,
Did not know that.
that's how M2 was able to include the game in Sega Ages Sonic 2. They just took the Sonic 2 with Knuckles ROM and put it in the game. So they didn't need it.
They just went on freeroms.com and
Sonic
pressed download. they did what Nintendo does.
Well, kinda, but they actually did have to work with the source code from the game.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I do remember when they were talking about adding the spin dash into like Sonic 1. They actually had to go back to the source code from Sonic Jam to make it work.
That's true. They had to do the same thing again with Sega Ages to get the drop dash in there, which they said was really hard because there was there was no previous data in the Genesis games for the drop dash, and none of the code from Mania was compatible with any of that.
No,
so they had to
Totally
recreate it on their own as best as they could.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons they had problems with Phantasy Star 1 was when they released that, the source code wasn't well labeled as they described it. So they had to essentially figure out the code by hand, instead of just having this like well documented information about the code itself. They were just like, okay, we're just going to have to play with things and see what happens. Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of source code for stuff back then, especially from Japanese games, it was usually printed on paper rather than stored in a digital file. Not always, but that's why source code from a lot of games that old are typically hard to come by today, unfortunately.
Anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, there's actually one other game I want to talk about.
Okay.
I played a more recent game on Switch called Bomb Chicken.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I've heard of this. This game looks cool. I think it was.
Yeah,
it's got really nice like sprite animation.
It was in it's an indie game. It was in a Nintendo Direct, I think, last year.
Yeah, I remember it being announced.
It's a really neat game. I like it.
Basically, like a little chubby chicken, aren't you?
Yeah, you're a chubby little chicken who lays bombs instead of eggs. You can lay as many bombs as you need to and stack them underneath yourself, but you have to get off them before they explode. You can't jump, so this is your only way to reach higher platforms.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I got this game on sale a while ago, so I finally tried it out, and I really liked it. It's actually a much darker game than I expected it to be. The way it's set up, you're a chicken that's been born into a fried chicken factory, kind of like a dark, twisted version of KFC, I guess.
Or
so
just a KFC.
Or I guess a KFC. But they make this weird blue sauce that they put on all their fried chicken and all their fries, and their shakes are blue. Everything's blue.
That reminds me of that whole like myth of like where there was all these photos of like this big paste stuff, and they were like, "Oh, this is what they make the chicken nuggets out of McDonald's." So it's like, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, it was Teletubbies, wasn't it?
Huh?
It was Teletubbies, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was just a... Oh, that was it, yeah. Someone took this picture, it was like, oh, this is chicken nuggets from McDonald's, this is what they make it from. And then it turned out to just be a screenshot from Teletubbies of the Tubby custard.
I've seen that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what this game reminds me of, though? Oddworld Abe's Odyssey.
I was going to say...
totally see that.
Yeah, I was going to say...
It's basically the same thing, because just like in that game, you're trying to escape a factory which is going to turn your species into mass-produced food.
It'd be like if KFC was also like starved by the chicken as well.
Yeah. Although I recently heard that KFC is about to start serving plant-made food.
Oh,
They've
they
been doing
already
that for a
do
while.
over here.
Yeah, they've been doing that over here. It's actually
Oh, they
quite
already do?
good
I
from
actually
what
like
I guess
it.
they're gonna.
Yeah.
I guess they're only just rolling it out in North America anyway.
Yeah, I think it's been about a year or so here now.
Yeah.
It started this year, I think.
Oh, was it this year?
Yeah.
I must have been early this year then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was January when it came out nationally,
Oh,
but
of course it was.
before
yeah.
then they trialled it in like certain city branches.
Yeah, it was the first time you walked into a KFC and ordered something in about 12 years?
18 years.
18 years?
Whoa.
yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
yeah, that's about it. I would definitely recommend Bomb Chicken.
I've
definitely-
been keeping my eye on it for a while. I've been waiting for it to go down. I think there might have been a limited run version of it as well, but that's obviously long gone. But
I didn't know about that. If there was, I kind of wish I'd gotten it.
Right.
Yeah, that's about it for me, I think.
There, dudes.
Hmm?
Who wants to go next?
I guess I can go next if you like.
All right, yo.
Okay, so it hasn't been that long since the last podcast, so I haven't played that much.
Oh, that's true. It was Wednesday.
Yeah, but I booted up my PC Engine Mini again, and I was just playing some Superstar Soldier and Superstar. Is it Superstar Soldier? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
Superstar Soldier.
Yeah, and Soldier Blade. Is it Super Soldier Blade or Soldier Blade
It's just
as well?
Soldier Blade.
Yeah, I can never remember. They have the same sort of systems, and they're very similar games.
Yeah, I can't remember the difference between those two games either.
Yeah, but they're decent. I played a bit before, but I put some actual time into trying to finish them this time. But yeah, no, very very decent. I'd say. I think I like Soldier Blade more, but I feel I've been told that's the unpopular opinion.
Oh no!
I know a lot
You're
of
going to
people
revoke
near-
your blank
I know a lot
card.
of people near me definitely prefer Soldier Blade.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, Superstar Soldier's great as well. It's just, it's pretty much a solid formula that the PC Engine seems to have been able to copy paste into quite a few shmups.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. It's been fun. What else have I been playing? I've been playing some Picto Quest. I don't know if any of you have played that.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's by the guys that made what's it called? One where you drag the that one that's kind of like Picross, but you have to like drag the stuff around.
Oh, is that Pixel Lines?
Yeah, that's the one. I think it's by
what's-
the same people that made that. Yeah.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been good. Like I say, it's Picross, it's just got a couple of very, very mild RPG elements.
Yeah.
That is to say that you earn money and you can go in a shop and buy some potions and stuff to sort of recover life. Because basically you do the Picross stuff and you'll get attacked if you obviously click the wrong thing. But also over time they will take a swing at you. So it's like you're kind of like on a timer in a sense as well. But yeah, it's fun. It starts off really simple and it gets, frankly, borderline. I'm like 59% through and it's like borderline impossible now. Or I just really suck at Picross. So yeah, there's that. And one I've been playing very recently, and I'm sure that Gagaman will talk about as well, is I've been playing some Columns too, because it finally went on sale.
Finally! I had to look on Deku Deals, and it's literally the first time it's ever been on sale, despite like most of the other Sega Ages games being on sale constantly. I don't understand why they kept holding that one back from me, but yeah, finally on sale.
Yes, it's weird because that's not been on sale for ages, right? And the latest Sega Ages game is Thunder Force 3, Thunder Force AC. It's also on sale already.
Yeah,
and that ain't been out for very long at all.
Really strange.
Not complaining because I grabbed that as well, but yeah, no, I've been digging into Columns, and it reminded me how much I suck at Columns. Really suck at Columns. But
everyone sucks at puzzle games.
Well, I it's like, I don't know, maybe my head just isn't wired in a columnsy way. Just diagonals to me just frazzle my brain.
I mean, I used to be very much a columns brain, much more than Tetris, because it was pretty much the first puzzle game, or one of the first puzzle games I ever really got into, because I had it on the Mega CD, and me and my sister would just compete in trying to get to level 99, and I do recall my sister actually getting there a few times. Yeah, so we played a lot of columns as a kid, but I think a lot of that muscle memory's kind of gone.
I had columns as one of those multi cartridges. And I also had like the Mean Bean Machine. And the thing is I did play some columns, but because I had Mean Bean Machine, I transitioned to that pretty quickly and pretty much only played that as far as puzzle games go. So
I never had Mean Bean. I don't think I had Mean Bean as a kid. I think I got it like later on.
I almost had Mean Bean back then. I told this story before in one of my videos, but before I had my Nomad, my parents actually bought me a Genesis, which actually came with a Sonic Classics cartridge, which had Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Mean Bean Machine built into it.
That's what I had. Yeah,
I've got a copy of that.
Unfortunately, my parents, for some reason, they couldn't figure out how to connect it to the TV, even though they connected the Super Nintendo and the Nomad just fine. So they returned it and the games the very next day.
So you never got to play it.
And I was so sad. I didn't actually get to try Mean Bean Machine until almost 2 decades later.
Wow, that was...
But I did actually
20 years of Puyo knowledge you could have had.
I did have Kirby's
If only they knew how to plug it in.
You had Kirby's Avalanche, so essentially you had
Never mind then.
But I did also have columns, not as a Genesis cartridge, even though I have it now, but I actually had it as part of the Sega Smash Pack Volume 1 for Windows.
Oh, wow.
Which I think came out in 2001.
Blimey.
Yeah. I knew loads of people. I think Murray Curry and that were big fans of columns growing up. So
I do remember I loved columns at the time. I was always into puzzle games like that.
I liked it, but like I say, it was just one of those things. It's because I had the Puyo Puyo there. It was kind of like, but I could be playing Puyo Puyo. But
that's valid.
Yeah, but like I say, I've been playing a little bit of that. I put a couple hours into it, maybe, and I played a little bit of Columns 1 just to see what it's like, because it's obviously Columns 1 built into it.
That's really cool. I love that they did that. I know it's not a hard effort to do that because they're basically in the same engine, but I just love that they just threw
I think they've just dumped the Mega Drive ROM into it.
It's definitely the arcade version.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because the Mega Drive one had flash columns included, and this one just goes straight to the endless mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Genesis and the arcade versions look incredibly similar. Like
They're pretty much identical.
That's one of the most flawless arcade conversions on the Mega Drive.
Probably why I thought it was the arcade version, because I was like, it doesn't really look that much different, or any different to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played a little bit of it, and then I jumped to Columns 2, and yeah, Flash Columns is really hard. I don't know if people here know much about Flash Columns, but essentially they put some pre-random blocks down, but some of them will be flashing, and you have to make sure those ones get popped, or what you're doing, whatever a Columns does when it becomes a line.
It goes...
Yes, it trinkles down off the screen. And yeah, so you got to do that, which doesn't sound too hard, but you'd be surprised how difficult that is to do in a game like Columns, where you have to make a line of 3, and you can't just put them straight down unless it's like such a perfect sort of collection of columns that you've got that it'll pop 2 of them, and then the third one will be the exact color you want. Otherwise, you just put yourself in the exact same situation again.
Yeah, you just end up like filling the screen very quickly.
Yes, it's one of those games I'm just like trying to find ways to create combos of 2, so at least I'm not in a deficit every turn.
Yep.
And it's hard. Like the first few levels, not too bad, but once I'm up to level 7 now, and I'm just I've completely hit a wall.
That's really strange because that is exactly where I got stuck as well. There must be some kind of like difficulty spike right there because that is exactly where I got stuck as well until I literally save stated my way through it.
I didn't
like
even
an utter scrub.
I didn't even save state, so I'm gonna have to go through that again. There is a level select, but obviously I think that you don't. I don't know what that will change, but yeah, one of the small things is like you get like a jewel box. I'm not sure what it does, but you finish the levels and it adds to your jewel box, and you unlock essentially waifus. Essentially, you know,
it's the Sega waifu collection.
yeah, essentially, because you know when you start up the Sega Age, it's got that really cool intro, and then you got like Nay holding up the sign.
Yeah, I remember seeing Rika from Phantasy Star 4.
It's basically
there's
random, isn't it? You get random ones.
Yeah. There's the cast girl from Phantasy Star 3. I forget her name.
Don't spoil them all. We haven't unlocked them yet.
Yeah.
When you start up the
Oh, Mew is that?
Yeah, Mew. Yeah. But they're the one you get Mew. Yeah.
Mew.
Yeah. But the one you get given as your sort of like default is Nay second, and I've unlocked one other. I haven't played that game.
Oh, Sega Ninja. That came out on the Master System as the Ninja. And they changed the girl into a bloke.
I did know this. Yeah. Because I played a lot of the Ninja for some reason.
One of the Sega Ages on the Saturn called Memorial Selection actually has that game on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did actually hear about that little bit of trivia because I played a lot of the Ninja growing up, and I don't know why because it's an annoying game. But
makes you wonder why they didn't call Shinobi the Shinobi.
The Shinobi. Yeah.
Sonic Hedgehog, more like the Hedgehog.
But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm not very good at columns. I'm going to put some practice in, and I don't really know what more I can say. Really, I'd have to try the multiplayer, see what that's like.
Yeah. It has actually got online multiplayer as well, so maybe we should have a crack at that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually.
I keep forgetting some of the Sega Ages games have online multiplayer. Actually, that's
probably because whenever you try to find anyone on them, there's no one there.
Yeah, but if you're playing with friends, you might be right.
Oh yeah. If you arrange with someone, it'll be fine. Yeah.
That's one of those games where you absolutely need to do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe like there might be a time where Sega Europe streams the game and they do a community online game with friends. They did that recently with the XBLA port of Daytona USA.
That was really cool, actually. Yeah.
Herzog Spy is going to have that as well.
Wow.
Online,
that'd be awesome.
That's going to be so cool. I think we should stream that.
That would be awesome.
But I think that's all I've been playing.
Cool.
So,
I hope you don't mind if I jump in, seeing as we may as well segue into me also playing.
Yeah, you might as well.
Because basically, I think what it is with the flash columns thing is like there's loads of different levels, and every 5 levels you do, you unlock one of the characters you normally see randomly at the start of a Sega Ages game. But you can basically just unlock every single one they've ever done up until I think the more recent games. They added a few more. But the flash columns basically goes up to level 70. So to unlock all of them, you have to beat 70 levels of flash columns. And considering how hard 7 was, and how I just barely struggled my way through 8, and now I'm stuck on 9, this is going to take some time. I think a friend of mine on Twitter, he bought the game back when it first came out. I think he actually got it on the Japanese eShop. And he spent 40 hours on that game just to unlock all the characters. Yeah, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be very frustrating, I think.
The power of Sega waifus. This is why they were doing this before waifus were cool.
I at the very least, I want the Arrow Flash lady.
Yeah,
I don't know whereabouts she is. I think she's somewhere in like the she's apparently. I noticed from the I've seen them all before anyway, because I think the friend that did spend 40 hours on Columns 2 put out a video of all of them just so he could show off the fact that he spent 40 hours on Columns 2. But you can see on the silhouette, you can see the little spaceship from that game, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I played a couple hours of that. I haven't really played a lot else this week because obviously, as I say, the last one we did was on Wednesday, and I've been doing other bits and bobs other than playing like loads of Amiga stuff last night, including that frankly shockingly good port of Ninja Warriors for the Amiga, which I was so surprised by that. Not only like they nailed frigging Daddy Mulk on the title screen. Shame it's only on the bloody title screen, but that's Amiga games.
Yeah. Saying that, I did actually play a bit of Ninja Warriors today as well.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah, I saw you
That's
had
always
the Arcade Archives version, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How does that look on the Switch with like the long screen? Is it similar to like how Darius looks on the
Yeah, it's the same essentially. It's
The sprites
playable.
are a lot bigger though, aren't they? So I guess
it's more playable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to grab that at some point. So yeah, I mainly played a bunch of Amiga stuff yesterday, and I also played a game that I picked up out of Game for a $5, like a Switch game for a $5. Yeah. So what's really weird about this one is it's been on sale loads of times. I think its retail price is like £20, and in Nottingham it was a tenner. And I looked at it, and I was like, I don't know, it might be all right, but I think I'll leave it. And I just resisted it. And then we went to another town just a few days ago, and the game there had it for £5. I was like, okay, all right, it's a price that I will definitely risk and try it. Like, how often do you get a physical Switch game for £5? I think we're finally getting to that point where the Switch has been around long enough that some games are actually getting dirt cheap. So I like that. I like when I can pick up games for a £5 because then I don't even care if I like them or not. It's just, you can just get rid of them again, I suppose. But yeah, I thought I'll risk it for a £5. It's got to be at least worth a punt, At least, at the very least, I can get some points off the cartridge or whatever. But like, yeah, within like the first half hour of playing it, I was like, this isn't even worth a £5. This is complete garbage. I mean, look at it and the sound of it and the load times and the performance. It's a Unity game. It runs like crap. Frame rates like horrendous, load times are horrendous, but within like that first hour and then beyond, it sort of clicked and I kind of really liked it. Like, it's complete garbage, but I like it, if that makes sense. I haven't even mentioned what the game's called, have I? It's a game called Nippon Marathon. So it's like Nippon Marathon. It's like an indie game. I think it's an indie game, and I think in Japan it was published by Arc System Works or something. But it's in the credits somewhere. It came up localization for Japan, Arc System Works. I was like, okay then, because it's clearly a very, very indie game, like very kind of
there's an arcade version of the game coming?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, they're actually making a arcade version rather bafflingly. I mean, if you played this thing, you would be shocked that that's the thing. But I know this game's also on the PS4 and the Xbox, so I'd like to hope it runs better on those because, there are some issues with the Switch version. Like, when you're playing the story mode, like, it has to load for like almost a minute in between every little cutscene. So even if there's a cutscene that's like 10 seconds, you have to wait almost a minute for it to load. But I'm trying to figure out if this game is deliberately bad or if it's just like, is it one of the? I'm trying to figure out if it's one of those games that's like deliberately jank or not. Like, because it feels a little bit try hard at times, but then at other times it feels like they're legitimately just not great at rendering anything. The character models are some of the ugliest I've maybe ever seen. Like, the best way to describe the look of this game is it looks like one of those like D3 publisher Simple 2000 games on the PS2 to some extent, right down to the performance and like how like badly it runs. It's not a looker.
I think it's one of those cases where it's both. I think.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of both. Like, both they're, a very small development team. I think it is literally a couple that made this game. So basically, I should probably describe what it actually is. It's basically a marathon through Japan, but it's also like one of those. It acts like one of those like quirky Japanese game shows. It's maybe a little bit stereotypical in some of the way it does stuff. It's very Banzai, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very like low random, like, oh, the Shiba Inus, they're chasing you, and you can throw watermelons at each other, and one of the characters you can play as is just like this anthropomorphic dog man, and then there's like an old man that's in a schoolgirl uniform that has a split personality where he thinks he's a young girl one moment and then the next moment he's the old man again.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you see something like that in Western media, which lampoons on Japanese pop culture, and you think, oh, they must have exaggerated that to like make fun of the Japanese.
There's literally a level in this game where there's an earthquake, like the whole place is like falling apart. Like, oh no, it's an earthquake!
And then you see a show like that actually came from Japan, and it's like, oh no, they really do make shows like this over there.
Yeah, I guess.
Except
it's
a lot crazier.
Yeah. It's very Takeshi's Castle, you know, very Total Wipeout in some ways, especially in one of the multiplayer modes in it. Which you can play single player, but one of my favourite things in this game is there's a procedurally generated Total Wipeout mode where it basically just generates a level and you just have to get as far through it without falling into the sea as you can. That's pretty good. And there's also a really strange bowling mini game. It's like trolley bowling, where basically you're on this gigantic bowling alley bit. And you have to run and jump into a trolley and then roll the trolley into bowling pins, like giant bowling pins. But what's really cool about it is you can push the trolley without you in it, and then you can fall onto the alley as well. And then, for example, if there's a split, you can push the trolley towards one of the pins and then just throw yourself at the other one, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah, the story's a little bit try hard in places. And because of the load times, it takes like an hour and a half to get through each of the 4 story modes. Sometimes it was funny, other times it was a bit cringy. But there was just some certain things in it that actually sort of made me laugh out loud. Like there's a train level where you start on a bullet train and then you jump onto a bunch of like roaming cattle, kind of like in Sunset Riders. And then you run across that cattle to get to another bullet train. And as you dock into, I can't remember what city in Japan it is, but you get off on the train and then you're going past all these businessmen. And then there's a bit where, because there's like this constant like narrator talking over the whole thing. And at one point he started going, I went on a British train once. It was terrible. I was waiting for 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
It just came out of nowhere.
Basically, they're not wrong.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, our trains are very efficient. Unlike British trains, I was waiting for 2 hours. I was like, okay. I had to look it up. I think the developers are Australian. Don't quote me on that, but they're not British. Either way, I thought that was quite amusing. And there was other things where it's like, oh, if you don't shove past everyone on the train, you are breaking the law and all this kind of stuff. And then like one of the last levels, basically all the 4 characters in the marathon grow really huge and basically become kaiju, and you're just stomping around like Tokyo or whatever city it was, and like you just like there's all these crowds of people in Shinjuku and you walk over them and they will just explode everywhere. And there was a really cool reference that I wasn't expecting. I went past this big building that said Mr. Roboto on it, but then it had what was essentially the Beastie Boys standing on top of it in their fluorescent jackets from what's that song called?
Intergalactic.
Yeah, Intergalactic. I was like, that's good. That's good. I was not expecting a Beastie Boys reference. I'm for this game now. Like the more I played this game, I was like, you know what? This game is kind of crap, but I kind of love it. I've actually ended up putting about 5 hours into it already, mainly because of those load times, but also because it's actually quite fun. Like when you get past, like, as I say, I'd like to think if you do have a PS4 or something, I'd maybe recommend getting that version just because the performance is hopefully better. I haven't looked into it, but like the Switch one is just because it's a Unity game, so yeah, I would suggest getting it somewhere else if you can. But as I say, it was literally a fiver. Like I can't complain for £5. I've already got my money's worth out of it.
Oh, it's a case, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a case with a game that I might go back to once in a while because once I've finished all the story stuff, just for that procedurally generated Total Wipeout mode, which has this really freaky costumed mascot bloke who kind of looks like oh, he's just freaky. I don't know, but yeah, it's a very strange game. But I kind of like it.
Well, it's one of those things as well where, to belabor the point again, this gets a physical version.
Yeah, I do find that quite weird.
It's just one of those things where they can assume that they plan to make a profit off of this.
It's published by P-Cube.
P-Cube, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not a low-profile publisher these days. They do Steins Gate and all that, and have their in-house translation team. So
yeah, it's interesting, like how some games very easily just get a cartridge made for them, and then you get stuff like Namco going, "Oh no, this is digital only because we can't afford to do a cartridge and we're lazy." And it's like Naruto games, nah. Namco Museum collections, nah. Katamari, nah. Like, we just can't. Mr. Driller, nah. Code in the box. It's like, oh, for God's sake, you've got the money to do it. You can afford to put Mr. Driller on a cartridge. Just put it on a cartridge. You did it in Japan. Do it here as well. I shouldn't have to import like physical versions of games just because you can't be bothered to put them on a cartridge here, or you're just too cheap to.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know the thinking, because I just cannot. You can't use the argument that it won't make a profit now, because if you can afford to make a game that has such a small,
if you could release Nippon Marathon physically, then you can release friggin' like Katamari or something, you know?
Yeah.
It really does baffle me. Like, the Switch library in particular has been very, very weird with that stuff. There's a lot of games that are physical only in Japan, and it's like, why? Like, why? Yeah. Just bring them over. They're already in English. I shouldn't have to import them. I don't want to import them, but like,
a lot. I've seen what happens with. I think it's like a Capcom thing when they bring out those Mega Man anniversary collections. They'll put like the first part on the cartridge, but
that drives me mad as well, because that makes no sense, because like the cartridges, they're not that small. You can actually fit.
Well, Japan has them both on there.
Yeah, exactly. They've got them both on one cartridge, whereas I think it was in America they released it was like Mega Man Collection 1, and then the second collection. It's a bunch of NES ROMs, just and like a SNES ROM, and at the most a PlayStation ISO. You know,
you
can fit those on a cartridge.
They do that with a lot of games here, and that annoys me too.
Yeah, I think what it is Nintendo really needs to find a way to bring down the price of Switch cartridges, because like they do go up to I think 32 gigabytes, but apparently the 32 gigabyte ones are really expensive, so very few games actually use it. Like I think only a couple, maybe Nintendo games, and maybe like, I don't know, something like Doom might use it, which is why the price is still so high. But
that's actually always been the problem with ROM cartridges. Like even going back to decades ago when cartridges were more commonplace.
Oh yeah, for sure. But now they've got excuses to not bother, haven't they? Because digital games.
Yeah, that's why like when you had a case of a game that actually did use a higher ROM capacity, like say Phantasy Star 4. It would come out and be $100, whereas most other games were $60 or $70.
I remember Phantasy Star 2 was rather expensive when that first came out over here.
Yeah.
So
right. Well, that's what I've been playing. I don't know what's going next. I think it's just...
Is that everyone?
No.
Yeah, sorry, I'll add me on mute.
We've got two.
two more.
I'll go. As usual, Animal Crossing.
I like how every week you say this, but you never elaborate. You're just like, no one wants to know.
The thing is, not a lot changes. I know it's a new month. It's a new month now. We're 10 days into August. There's still firework festivals on a Sunday night, and there's still KK Slider coming out on Saturday nights. Not a lot else is going on. So, that's that. Other than that, I haven't really played a lot else. Actually went on my own Facebook streaming channel and started up Portal 2.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, because I hadn't actually played it in about 4 years, and I completely forgot how to play it. So midstream, I just thought, okay, I'm stuck. I better refresh my memory by starting from the game like from the beginning.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's just it's really fun to hear Stephen Merchant's voiceover for it.
Oh yeah.
A lot of Stephen Merchant.
Yeah, because although it was like really funny at the time, and when I first played it, I played Forza 2 like over and over and over. Enjoyed every minute of it. I think it's because I left it for so long that it seemed a bit more funnier this time around. I'll just try and think what else have I
Maybe
played.
it's just because you haven't heard it for a long time.
Yeah, most likely. It's a bit like watching an old movie. Just
Yeah, you sort
watched
of
it for a while.
forget like some of it. If you if you were to watch a movie over and over again, you would get bored of it.
Yeah.
So same with games, really.
I have received my Lego set, as I mentioned last week, and I
yes.
still haven't opened it yet. I've opened the package that it came in, and I've got all the free bonuses that I pre-ordered with Lego directly. So hopefully either tomorrow or Wednesday I shall be recording me putting it all together. Obviously Gagaman suggested doing a live stream, but I was a bit against it because it could take a few hours. Especially with all the adverts every 5 minutes. So I don't think anyone's going to stick around for that. So yeah, I'm
working on it.
Yeah. So I'll be recording that, as I say, either tomorrow or Wednesday.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see.
Yeah, I actually went into my local Smith's Toy Shop opposite where I work, and I actually bought the Cat Mario and Fire Mario power-up costumes.
Nice. There's other costumes, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's Amiibo all over again.
Tis. I mean,
but even more expensive.
Yeah. This is what.
And these
I
do things more, I guess. Slightly.
A bit more. You can actually play it offline and everything.
Yeah.
It was just hard for me to hand over £18 for 2 tiny bits of plastic, but yeah.
Yeah, but when you plug it onto Mario, it'll go meow.
Exactly.
So it's worth it.
3D World is like one of my favourite Mario games, and obviously Fire Mario. Yeah.
Fire Mario's colour scheme.
Yeah. That's pretty much my first Mario cosplay that I did years and years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was at London Film and Comic Con, and Charles Martinet was there.
Oh, nice.
So that's why it's a special.
What year was that?
I believe that was 2014.
Oh, okay.
It was the first time I met him. But I could have met him like 4 years before at the what was known back then as the Eurogamer Expo. And I left just as he arrived. So he was unannounced. This was just when.
I see.
Yeah, New Super Mario Brothers Wii was announced.
I see, right.
Yeah, Nintendo was showing off their little booth there, and yeah, it wasn't until like on the bus ride home that I got a few messages saying, "Where are you?" And Charles Martinet was there, and I wasn't.
Darn.
Oh well, I've met him 3 times since then, and
he
is the he is the.
You got your Martinet feel.
Yeah.
I regret saying that.
But like, if I was to meet him again, I'd be pleased to see him because he is the friendliest guy in video gaming, I'd say.
Oh, that reminds
I've
me.
never met him yet.
That reminds me. Did you see that there's like a video game documentary series coming to Netflix soon? I think it's in the next week, and it's actually narrated by Charles Martinet.
Wow.
Bring that up.
Yeah. There's going to be funnily enough, there's going to be a whole episode about Sonic the Hedgehog, and there is a clip on Twitter somewhere. I think on the Netflix Twitter that actually has Charles Martinet describing the creation of Sonic. It's quite interesting. Obviously, he's not doing a Mario voice; it's just the default voice. But it's still
Yeah.
quite interesting. It's not the first time he's actually done something involving Sonic. Actually, like way back in the 90s, he did like this random what was it, Sonic Spaghetti or something like that.
The commercial.
Yeah, he did like a commercial, like a Sonic commercial, like long before he was doing Mario.
So it's called High Score, this documentary, apparently.
That's the one, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this. Hopefully it's not too hammy and weird and cringy, but it looks pretty good from the clips I saw about the Sonic stuff. That was quite cool. It had Naruto Oshima doodling some Sonics and stuff in it, so
I will watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it on Remind Me. So as soon as it goes live, I will be watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much me for this week.
I think it's just CherryT left, I think.
Yeah.
You can probably guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Same
More
old.
Picross and Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
just
Dr.
Pokemon
Mario World.
and Dr. Mario, yeah.
Dr. Mario World had a bit of an overhaul last week.
Oh, I had a really big update, didn't it?
Yeah.
Even the title screen changed.
Yeah,
slightly.
the title screen changed. They've added a new mode in, which I think might be temporary, but I'm not entirely sure. It's called the Summit mode.
Okay.
And basically, it's
that's where that new song was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like something out of Mario and Luigi.
Oh yeah, or like Paper Mario or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, funky like tune in it.
Yeah.
And it's like you're using two doctors at the same time.
Oh god, double doctors.
Yeah.
Just call it second opinion.
So yeah, the first. Yeah. So one doctor is one that is tied to like, a particular level. Like for example, that you'd have Dr. Bowser being tied to one level. Then you've got another one that's
like
just
tag team mode.
Then you've got another level that's just got Dr. Luigi. And there's like 3 different difficulties: beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then you've got a special one. In the special one, you have to use certain doctors. So not only is it the one that's tied to that particular level, you have to choose 2 other doctors, just 2. Like say for example, Peach or Daisy. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's quite...
So it's like tag team mode.
It kind of is.
Yeah, you choose the order of the bout.
Well, it's like
King of Fighters.
the doctor that's tied to that level has a bar where it fills up as you're releasing the capsules.
Okay.
And when that bar fills up, that's when you have to use their skill.
Okay.
But then the other ones at the as normal. Yeah,
Okay.
It's been quite a strange mode.
Yeah, it's cool that they've been keeping that like constantly updated. It seems like it's definitely one of those games where they want you coming back for more.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Frequently.
And, 14
it's probably
days...
why I haven't gotten deep into it myself, because I just know it's going to be like a daily routine.
Yeah, it's
most definitely
very ingrained into my life, and I lost control of it.
Pretty much ever since it came out.
Well.
Or sometime just after it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
and
that.
Lots of Pokemon, wasn't it? Again.
Yeah, Sun and Ultra Moon again.
Yeah.
It's like trying to fill up the living decks again.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been. That's right. You've been going back to Sun and Moon recently, right?
Yeah. And that's what you could see me playing like in any streams.
Oh yeah, like last night.
Yeah.
You were like multitasking. You were sort of like doing wonder trading while we were playing Amiga stuff.
Yeah. And I was even doing it while like doing laundry. And stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you just be wonder trading like a lot.
Yeah. It's because I just learned that you can apparently dump a whole load of eggs into the Pokepelago, like the island with the hot springs.
Oh.
So just dump about 18 of them, leave them overnight, and then they're ready to hatch.
Pokemon fly tipping. Just dumping them on a beach or wherever.
Yeah,
Please do not fly tip your Pokemon.
that'd be if you just like put Garbodor or Trubbish in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
that is
true.
what they are now. That's the law.
Yeah. I love that Pokemon, that Trubbish and Garbodor.
Trubbish is weirdly cute.
Yeah, he's I call him
Little
Bin
bin bag.
Liner every time.
It's just a bin bag. It's a little
Yeah.
bin bag with teeth.
Yeah, and I also learned about the fastest way to hatch an egg as well.
Smash it open.
No,
Grab it and shake it like you would in Sonic Adventure.
Apparently, it involves riding on the Tauros and having a Pokemon that's got the Flame Body ability. So that'd be like Volcarona, for example. That's
It
like
incubates.
yeah.
Oh, do you just have them sit on it?
And you run around in circles for about a minute, and that's apparently the fastest way to hatch one. It takes
Oh.
about a minute.
As long as they don't come out as like egg yolk, you're alright.
Just boiled eggs.
Yeah, just a boiled egg.
Boiled execute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the funny thing about that game you were playing. There's
Which
some scenes are set in like a
Nepal.
newsroom, and like you get breaking news, but it's just a picture of like a broken egg.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Egg.
See what they did there.
That's got to
Yeah.
be weird though. Like an execute, like when you have an egg that hatches into an egg or a collection of eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an egg that clubs war eggs.
Yeah. Pokemon's weird though. Like the whole biology. If you, it would absolutely blow your brains out.
It's
trying to
like
think of
Cars.
the-
If you try to question any of it,
Yeah.
it all falls apart.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and by Cars, I mean the
And
Pixar
they
film.
still don't know where eggs come from. They just find the Pokemon holding them. And, like you don't see them do anything. Or
That
anything.
is fortunate, but I think that depends where you go on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people have illustrated
Mm.
the
You know
what's
rules
funny?
in the canon.
Years ago, I actually made a drawing for
I don't like where this is going.
No, me neither.
Oh, don't worry. It's actually quite wholesome. I made a drawing for a maternity shirt for pregnant women, and it has a Pokemon daycare worker with the text boxes from the games, and the daycare worker just shrugs, and the text boxes say, "There's a baby in this belly. I have no idea how it got there."
Is that a thing from Pokemon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually say
that's,
that. I have no idea how it got there.
When you leave Pokemon at a daycare and they lay an egg, the daycare worker always tells you they have no idea how the egg got there.
They suck at
Yeah.
their job.
That just sounds like what people. That's like the kind of excuses people and Jeremy Kyle come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea how that got there.
Yeah. Then they had the Shah horses got broken. Oh, that is the funniest thing about that ever came out of Jeremy Kyle. The whole Smash the Shah horses thing.
Smash me shy horses.
Basically, someone like
Smashed some shy horses, and the other person was angry about said smashed
the
shy
Shah
horses.
horses being like little statues.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, not actual ones.
No, an actual horse that's made of like China, like a full scale horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
that's what we've been
that's
playing.
about it.
Yeah,
Right.
And
Yeah.
some Amiga.
hence the crisps. Right.
Right,
Hence
shall
the
we
quavers.
head over to the breaking news?
Yeah, let's head over to the breaking news.
Break an egg,
Break an egg.
and some news comes out.
Right. Okay. So, speaking of food, let me see if I can find it again. Where is it
Oh
gone?
yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that picture. Right. Let me just find it. I'm just trying to find it. Ah, there we go. Right. So, you know, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake, port, whatever you want to call it, is coming out sometime in September. So, there's a free demo available in America right now of this game. But you have to go to a restaurant and order a Tony Hawk's burrito to get it.
And I believe it's Chipotle.
Yeah.
It's a bit tone deaf with the thing that's happening right now.
And like the first thing I noticed is everyone that pre-ordered the physical game or the digital game that has not got a demo, and they don't appear to be getting a demo even though they pre-ordered the game. But if you buy this burrito, then yeah, you get it. It's like friggin' like Pizza Hut promos all over again, isn't it? Like the old PlayStation 1 demos. I think they're going whole hog with this like PS1 nostalgia. You know, not only are they remaking the PS1 Tony Hawk's games for the third time, but they're also doing like weird food brand stuff. So yeah, they've actually got like a Tony Hawk burrito, which is made up of chicken, brown rice, black beans, cheese, guacamole, and red chili salsa.
Sounds like your average burrito to me.
It really does, yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that's Tony Hawk's personal favorite type of burrito.
My favorite.
Maybe he makes one for himself every day.
My favorite thing in this Reset Era thread about it is like if you try to adjust the ingredients on the app, like if you order it and then you try to adjust the stuff, it comes up with this pop-up that says, "We picked these ingredients especially for the Tony Hawk burrito. If you make changes, it will be your own thing. This meal may not be eligible for bonuses or promotions." In other words, if you change any of the ingredients, you don't get a Pro Skater demo.
Screw vegans, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or screw vegetarians even.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably
Jeez.
buying this just for the demo anyway. So
I mean, it's a bonus if
At
you
that
get something
point-
to eat from it as well, because like this burrito is like $10.
What?
Yeah, it's like $10.45.
I don't know what the going prices on burritos are in America because
It seems like a lot. This ain't no like Taco Bell burrito, is it? It's clearly like a hot something slight. I don't know anything about Chipotle, but
Other than that, it's named after a type of pepper,
yeah,
of course.
maybe
But it's
maybe Elks got more knowledge since he lives over there. I don't know.
what's the like going price for the average
I
burrito?
don't even like Mexican food.
Oh, fair enough.
Ironic because I'm Hispanic. I know.
Well, it's one of those things as well. It's like, it's kind of like a small demographic for people who can get that demo, really. Because if you don't like Mexican food, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
If
I
you're
love
anything,
pizza, I had no problem getting those PlayStation demo discs back in the day, which I still have now.
Speaking of
One
which,
of them actually did have a Tony Hawk.
this demo isn't even on a disc or anything. It's a download code that they send you. They send you it. I think. Oh, let me have a look. It says the first 2,000 account holders that order the Tony Hawk burrito will receive a code to the email associated with the account, and then it says something about like it might take up to a week to show up.
yeah, I trust that.
I'll double check that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's true. Actually, that might be rubbish, but I don't know. I just thought this was funny.
Yeah, but it's just like this is one of those things. Where would you like if you got fast food and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're definitely going to send you the promotional item"? Would you trust it though? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Mm,
It seems a bit weird. It's only 2,000.
Better like that burrito.
What?
Was that sorry?
What?
Got no doubt.
Yeah, you're still there.
I'm sorry.
Just didn't catch what you said, Andrew.
Oh, yeah, it just seems a bit weird that there's only 2,000 download codes available.
Yeah, it's a limited demo.
Yeah, it's like we want to build hype, but not too much hype.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or depending on how the game ends up, you know, we don't want to give away that it's bad. I still don't trust them with this. Like, you know, considering what happened last time.
PR PhD in the chat says, "Thanks for the heads up on the Tiny Hawk demo."
Oh right, okay.
On your
go get a burrito quick before they're all gone.
It is, like I say, it's a bit tone deaf in as much as, like I say, the whole vegetarian vegan thing, but also like encouraging people to go out.
I just love that you can't even change the ingredients.
Well,
it's just ridiculous.
yeah, you
I hope
know.
they can at least have it delivered to you.
Yeah.
The burrito, that is.
What about people who are allergic to some bits and all, like cheese?
I don't know.
Maybe they shouldn't go to a.
What about the
Makes me
people who
like
were lactose intolerant who wanted that Pizza Hut pizza to
Yes.
get the demo discs back?
Get the old PS1.
Because you had to order a stuffed crust pizza in order to get those.
So extra cheesy. So
I'm starting to expect them to start like once the game comes out. I'm expecting them to just put like PlayStation 4s in like a McDonald's in the corner of the kids section and just have Tony Hawk 1 and 2 on there as well, just to really fill in like the 90s nostalgia. Just like Or just have Tony Hawk 2 for like, I don't know, the GameCube or something. Tony Hawk 3 for the GameCube in the corner again.
We actually have got a Chipotle over here.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have some Taco Bells, don't we, as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I went to one once, never again.
PRPHD in the chat saying, I think the idea is that Tony Hawk is a Californian.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
So I presume
True.
PRPHD is going to presumably get the promotion, but which I assume means you know the going prices of these burritos. Is that overcharged, or is that how much burrito?
Yeah, I can't.
I must know.
Yeah, I can't judge because I have no idea. It might be cheap. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
Doesn't sound cheap.
It doesn't.
It does.
At first glance, it doesn't. But yeah, all right. He's saying I'll see. Right, yeah, that's that. We won't dwell on that too much. That was just a thing. Just a little footnote I found earlier. Right, so this one's quite big. I guess we'll go into this one. I'll just grab the link. Hang on. So, hopefully I'll get this guy's name right. Yoshinori Ono has or is about to leave Capcom.
Sad times.
Basically, like the Street Fighter basically, as far as I'm concerned, he's like the face of Street Fighter in a lot of ways. He's always been he's always been the guy that's out in front going, "Hey, Street Fighter!" Woo.
He's definitely the modern face of Street Fighter, I would say.
Oh yeah, the modern face for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, effective sometime in the summer, he's basically leaving. He's just quitting Capcom entirely. Like, I was not expecting this, but then there has been loads of rumblings lately about Street Fighter 6 and what's been happening with that, and how it's basically repeated history with Street Fighter 5's development, and how it basically was a bit of a mess when it started. So I don't know if anyone here has seen Matt Muscle's What Happened video about Street Fighter 5, but basically that game went through about almost 2 years of development before being effectively scrapped and started from scratch and changed developer.
Explains a lot.
Yeah, but apparently they were going towards a more realistic approach, sort of like made it look more like sort of the Resident Evil remakes and that kind of style initially.
I can't imagine why they scrapped that.
It's kind of like the Infinite thing again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very similar. There is actually like images online of what it supposedly looked like as well. Like all the characters have got more normal proportions. You know, they're not as bulky and anime-esque as they are in Street Fighter generally. But yeah, I'm not really sure if it would have really worked, and I think they must have agreed because they passed the game back over to Dimps and they moved it on to Unreal Engine, whereas I think the original version was going to be on Capcom's MT framework. So yeah, it went through a bit of development hell with Street Fighter 5 before it eventually became, the PlayStation 4 and PC exclusive that it did become. And even that, even Street Fighter 5, it took quite a few years for it to really become worth owning, because it was pretty bare bones when it first came out, which is a consequence of the case that they spent so much time on that early build that got basically effectively scrapped and redone from scratch. Yeah, and apparently the same has happened with 6. Like, I don't know how, this is all just rumblings about with it. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's been spread around from pretty decent sources. So I think they know what's up. But basically, the Street Fighter 6 was basically planned to come out next year. But now it looks like it's probably at least a year or two away for similar reasons to what happened to 5, supposedly. Apparently there was supposed to be some kind of team-up mechanic that wasn't really working, where you had 2 characters at the same time, or maybe something like the tag system from the older games, but it must have been something different for them to be this ain't working. And basically, I think both of these projects were under, Ono's sort of jurisdiction.
Supervision.
Yeah, so I think there's actually been a bit of bad blood between Capcom and Ono for a few years now over all this stuff. So I think this is probably why he's quitting. Because it sounds like he's like leaving himself, doesn't he? He hasn't been sacked. He's basically leaving.
It looks that way.
Yeah.
He's leaving them of his own volition.
Yeah.
So it's.
I mean, it doesn't. Sorry.
Come.
No, it doesn't seem quite as volatile as the Konami situation with Kojima, but it does seem like he's disgruntled by something. If I had to guess.
It's been shown like, where's the door? You can walk out of it if you want.
Yeah, it sucks. He's been at Capcom for like 30 years. He's pretty much responsible for not only bringing Street Fighter back after almost 10 years of just being Capcom just not doing fighting games ever since like Capcom, what was it, Fighting Jam or whatever it was called, Fighting Evolution was a complete flop. Again, that was an Ono directed game, but you can't just pick out all the bad stuff that's happened under his watch, because he basically revived not only Street Fighter with Street Fighter 4, but the entire fighting game genre. Like it was pretty much dead for around a decade. Like the whole sort of late PS2 era, I suppose, was pretty stagnant for fighting games outside of the odd Mortal Kombat. So
there were some great fighting games during that period, but the whole thing was going nowhere at the time.
And especially within Capcom, like they just gave up on fighting games for such a long time.
It had a very niche tournament scene.
Yeah, incredibly niche. Yeah.
Till Street Fighter 4 came out, and then essentially we've had this thing where now fighting games would be arguably one of the biggest esports out there.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, easy. Yeah.
And to think the Xbox Live version of Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting to change Capcom's mind about that. Just to show them that people actually do still like Street Fighter at the very least.
Like Ono straight up said in his statement, I've been with the Street Fighter brand for a long time, experienced good times, bad times, even non-existent times. That's what he's talking about, that big long lull of nothing.
Well, when you were saying about that Ono game that wasn't particularly well received, that could easily have a lot to do with just Capcom's disdain for anything not Resident Evil during that period.
Oh, for sure. And even now, Resident Evil's by far their biggest selling series, and that's kind of what they're really pushing even like today.
This is essentially to some extent similar to what happened with what's his name? I've completely forgotten his name. The Mega Man creator, Inafune.
Yep, pretty much exactly the same thing. Yeah.
I would say Inafune was on somewhat of a downward spiral. Personally, I feel like he kind of he was behind some good games, but I think he was behind some very questionable games as well.
He was behind a lot of very questionable decisions Capcom made during his last couple of years with the company too.
We all saw how Mighty Number 9 went.
Yes. Yeah.
He was one of the guys who decided that Final Fight should take a much more realistic GTA type of approach, which led to Final Fight.
Was that how we ended up with Street Rise? Oh boy.
Yeah, well, he was obsessed with that whole thing.
Yeah, that was his decision. It was also his decision to have Capcom focus a lot of their development on Western studios, which again is what led to stuff like Final Fight Streetwise, as well as things like the 2 sequels to Lost Planet.
Yeah,
which was another game that he helped create. Actually, the very first Lost Planet.
Yeah,
but I don't think Ono has too much of a spotty history. I don't know.
No, not really. No, I think it's more a case of it's probably a mix of like higher ups, like deciding on the development of these Street Fighter games and how they ended up. Like I would have thought that realistic version of Street Fighter 5 was probably a higher ups decision. Make it more like Resident Evil or whatever. Just make it look more real. And I think they probably did the right thing not doing that, because I was literally watching a video of I was watching Maximilian dude playing Street Fighter the movie, and it kind of emphasizes why the characters need to look the way they look in games like Street Fighter and King of Fighters, where they've got the really massive the massive arms and like the muscles and all that. It's just to make the posing more readable and stuff like that. And also, even though Street Fighter the movie, it's got people like Jean-Claude Van Damme in it. as Guile, you know, you see him in the game as a sprite, you know, pre-rendered sprite, and even all, you know, he's not a scrawny bloke, but in comparison to the sprite work of Street Fighter 2 and then, you know, other games in the series, he just looks really scrawny and skinny and noodly, and like the poses are just not as readable. You can't really see. It doesn't feel as impactful when you're hitting people.
It's not very powerful.
Realistic person. I feel like fighting games work better when they're a little bit more exaggerated. Like it's always been the case. Yeah. I think that's why I've never been able to really get into Mortal Kombat as well, because like it's a bit more ground.
Yeah.
Well, I say grounded. It's very ridiculous in its own different way, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, does anyone have any speculation where he might go, if he goes anywhere?
That's a really good question. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if... I don't know how old he is or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could just retire. I don't know, but...
I'm thinking either retirement or he might go to Sony. And
yeah, it really depends, doesn't it? He might have his own ideas for fighting games. He might... Judging how well he got on with... Despite all the troubles with Street Fighter Cross Tekken, I actually wouldn't be shocked if he ended up at Namco.
Mm-hmm.
Within Tekken and Soul Calibur and all that, I could see that happening. Like if he really, I'm sure they would greet him with open arms.
Well, he has a sort of friendly rivalry / friendship with the guy who makes Tekken. So,
yes, for sure, Harada, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not unreasonable, and
I could totally see it happening.
I could see him going to like any of the, maybe even like what's it called, Arxis.
It'd be curious, yeah. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, it's not like guaranteed that he's going to end up continuing to do fighting games, even. So he could go anywhere. He could go to Square. He could do anything. I'm sure.
He could.
I'm sure people will be. I'm sure all these companies will probably be chomping at the bit to get him. Possibly,
they will be scouting him. Yeah,
they will be. I'm sure. Like, I bet they've already got people coming in going, "Oh, hey, we heard you're looking for a job."
It would be interesting to see a Kickstarter for a fighting game. I think
that would be interesting. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time, but like an Ono developed one would be quite crazy.
Yeah, that would be something.
As long as it doesn't go Mighty Number 9 directions of like, oh dear, then we're good. As long as it isn't just, hey, I'm going to make my own Street Fighter with poker and hookers.
Yeah, yeah, I wish.
As long as it also doesn't do another thing that Keiji Inafune did, where he tells people he's the guy who created Street Fighter when he's really not.
Mm-hmm.
Because Keiji Inafune, he was involved with the original Mega Man, but he's not actually the series creator.
No, he's just the artist.
No, yeah, exactly.
He drew the designs. That was it.
Yeah,
he sort of like self-inserted himself in there as like the creator of Mega Man.
Yeah, he convinced people to have a much bigger role in that game than he really did.
Maybe in the sequels, it might be fair to say that with the sequels, but in terms of its initial inception, not so much.
I am kind of looking forward to see what happens where the next chapter in Ono's career is, because judging by what happened with Yuji Naka, like as soon as he announced he was moving to Square Enix, as I said previously, I was surprised that he actually got to basically form his own like team and essentially make the kind of games he used to make within Square. Like I was just expecting him to just like become part of the team and just work on Final Fantasy. Yeah, just become part of Final Fantasy. Work on Final Fantasy, which would have been fine. It would be a bloody good payroll, I'm sure. But the fact that he's actually got to make his own IP and all this kind of stuff, I really didn't expect that. So I was quite pleasantly surprised. I was really pleasantly surprised to see that actually.
Yeah, I mean, while Yuji Naka is obviously still I don't want to say a household name, but he's one of the major.
He's up there with like Yu Suzuki.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'd say he's got maybe less star power than Yu Suzuki. But
for sure. Because like in the case of Sonic, he mainly programmed it. He wasn't the creator of the character as such. That was Naruto Oshima. But he's also working on that new game, that Wonderworld. It's World. I just assume it's Wonderland. I don't know why, but it's Wonderworld. Yeah. So yeah, I'll be curious to see where Ono goes next. Speaking of Street Fighter 5 and 6 and stuff, basically I think it was actually the day after we did the last. Oh no, it was during when we were doing the last podcast. Capcom actually put out like a Street Fighter 5 update live stream where they were just basically announcing a new season pass for Street Fighter 5, which wasn't actually planned like until very recently, as far as we can tell, because of the delay with Street Fighter 6. Basically, the last season pass, which I think was the 4th one, was supposed to be the last one. That was supposed to be it. That's why they put out that physical version called Arcade Edition, because that was supposed to be the complete game. That's everything. It's done. You know, they reprinted the game. And it's like, here's the complete version. This is everything. This is all the characters, all the costumes. But now they're doing another season pass. And I have to admit, I really wish I watched that as a sort of hype now, because it was pretty hype. It was pretty much, they pretty much showed almost every character, all but one character that's going to be revealed, that's going to be playable. Only the first one that's coming out later this year, they actually showed a little bit of gameplay of, like off-screen footage of. But yeah, there were some pretty damn good reveals in there. But yeah, I'm going to say that DLC, that whole season pass, was basically put together just to tide people over until this delayed 6 comes along. But absolute best thing about it, though, there's a frigging Rival Schools character.
Oh, no.
Oh, so good. They actually acknowledged Rival Schools in something.
Someone has to.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's about bloody time. It's only been like 20 years since they even mentioned
I don't think
it.
they've done that since Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Exactly.
That game had a rival.
Yeah, had Batsu, who's like the mascot of Rival Schools, essentially. If you're going to put any Rival Schools character in Street Fighter, you would assume it's Batsu. But they went with Akira, who's like the coolest character. I'm so happy.
We've had like the Skull guy, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really do like that you're apparently treating Rival Schools now like it's part of the Street Fighter universe.
I mean, I think it technically always has.
I mean, Sakura was in the first one.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was always technically the same within the same canon.
They've been doing that for a long time, sure, but this really solidifies it a lot more because they've never been doing that. They have not been doing that as often as they've been doing with Final Fight.
Oh yeah.
Usually they don't have.
Yeah.
They don't usually bring back Rival School characters. Except in crossover games like Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
I think
Capcom versus
occasionally you get a character in the background of like Street Fighter 5. I think there might have been 1 or 2 cameos, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much.
There was what's his name in Street Fighter EX2, I think it was.
Yeah, but that was a spin. That's not part of Street Fighter canon. Whereas Final Fight characters have been in canon Street Fighter games since the original Street Fighter Alpha.
Yeah. I mean, like, Final Fight was always connected to Street Fighter because Final Fight's original name was Street Fighter 89. So.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah. And that was supposed to be... what was it? Yeah, that was supposed to be the sequel to Street Fighter until they...
But then why would you ever want to make a sequel to Street Fighter? Street Fighter's complete rubbish. Why would you ever make a sequel to that?
Well, if they didn't do that,
why even bother?
If they didn't do that, then we'd never have Street Fighter 2. You ever thought of that?
That's the joke.
Yeah. It is interesting.
It amazes me how bad... It stuns me how bad Street Fighter 1 is, you know?
It's not even like, it was good for its time,
no,
really.
It wasn't. Like, Capcom games back in the 80s were pretty decent. They weren't like the best games around, but they were good. Like, they had good games in the 80s. But Street Fighter 1, like, even the soundtrack and everything is terrible. It's like...
Sorry.
Everybody stumbles once in a while.
But like, even like at the fighting games for their time, as they were, you had obviously Karate Champ is a bit stiff, but it's a pretty solid game. And Kung Fu is pretty decent as well. You know,
it's all right
compared to Street Fighter.
Pretty primitive, but they played better than
infinitely more playable. Yeah,
I kind of want to get that 30th anniversary collection just so I could play Street Fighter 1.
I did play that. on the anniversary. It's
Good strength, but don't forget there are really strong people like you all over the world.
It's quite an interesting experience. Yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
you know what?
I can't think of any other game where the second game is just an absolute quantum leap over the first one.
Usually
where like
it's-
the first game is a complete and utter shit show, and then like the sequel is like genre divining. Like, is there any other example of the first game just being like this pile of crap that no one cares about, right down to the company themselves barely acknowledging
it's usually the
and
it's
then
usually the
two.
inverse.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly. Usually
you
the
got-
first game's like, oh yeah, this is great, and then the second one you're like,
Yeah, you know, you got your Zelda 2s and your Castlevania 2s and what have you.
exactly.
And then they go, okay, we'll just stick with what works. Because it makes sense for a game like Castlevania or Zelda or whatever to get a sequel because it was good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense for them to make a sequel to Street Fighter. I'm glad they
Exactly,
did.
yeah. Oh
I'm glad
yeah,
they
for
did.
sure. Like, what would we do without Street Fighter 2? Like, it's
Yeah.
one of the most defining games of anything. It's up there with like friggin' Tetris. So yeah,
But it defied the odds. It
it still just stuns me to this day that there's one of the best games ever made is a sequel to some pile of rubbish.
though saying that, even if Street Fighter 2 didn't exist, I mean, you did what's it called? Fatal Fury was coming out that year as well.
That's
that would have been
true. That would
that's
have been
in-
the Street Fighter 2.
yeah, it would have been. It probably would have been because
yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I'm starting to think that Capcom must be kind of awkward to work for because it seems like a lot of people have left there. I mean, like, look what happened with Clover, who obviously became Platinum Games.
Yeah.
And then look
That's
at
still- that was still
Inafune
sore
with
over
Mega
that.
Man. Yeah.
It's why I've said before that I've said it before that Capcom's not. How do I put this? I've said this before that Capcom, they still know how to make excellent fighting games because even when it comes to stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite or Street Fighter V, even with all their problems, I still think those are damn good fighting games.
Oh yeah, Infinite is fine, and when you actually play it, it's quite a fun game. It's just all the other issues it had, like mainly Disney meddling with it in a way. But
yeah, like and we're not even in the minority on that. A lot of people, especially recently, they're really getting into MVC Infinite. It's so like the developers still know they still know what to do. The problem is it's the upper management at Capcom who pretty much sabotages every fighting game that they ever try to make. And even with MVC Infinite, it wasn't just Capcom doing that. It was also Disney being stingy with all the Marvel characters.
Yeah,
exactly,
I mean, I think with Capcom, and this is probably true of a lot of companies, but Capcom is one of those ones where it feels really apparent is that they are terrified of any kind of risk, anything that doesn't massively overperform.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was that whole thing that happened with Darkstalkers, wasn't there? Where they had all those teaser videos of like Darkstalkers is not dead, and then they put out Darkstalkers Resurrection on the PS3 and 360, and they pretty much made it very clear that if that game didn't sell millions of copies, then they're not going to make a new Darkstalkers, and that's exactly what happened. But like, people didn't want another port of Darkstalkers; they wanted a new Darkstalkers. They would throw money at that idea. I would throw money at that idea. I friggin' love Darkstalkers. But yeah, I already had those games on the Saturn and the PSP and the Dreamcast. I didn't need to buy them again on the PS3.
Most people who are hardcore into fighting games probably do.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they probably thought that because that XBLA port of Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting sold so well, they could probably make Lightning Strike twice with Darkstalkers.
Yeah, but it's a different thing altogether.
But honestly, and I've said this before too, I actually don't want Capcom to make another Darkstalkers. Not because I hate Darkstalkers. I love Darkstalkers. I'd love a new one. But
I get where you're going.
But there's no way I'd want Capcom of today to try and take a crack at it.
I totally understand. Yeah, I totally get it. Like, I feel like the 3D animation's not that close enough to match how creative and ridiculous the animation in the old games was.
Well, it's not just the 3D animation. It's also like they're
I know what you mean.
they're going to make all kinds of wacky business decisions, like they did with Street Fighter V, where Street Fighter V had such an awful launch. It's a miracle.
Really did.
It's a miracle that the game still has a following today.
They really turned that boat around.
It could go way worse with Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers does not have the pop culture influence that Street Fighter has.
No.
So there's a lot less of a chance it could bounce back from a disastrous launch like that.
I think that's why I'd rather see Darkstalkers go to like an indie developer or something, kind of like Lab Zero, like the Skullgirls developers or something like that. I would be more confident in a new Darkstalkers if it was like a smaller project like that. I say smaller, like doing that kind of fighting game is a gargantuan effort, but
if a disastrous launch could ruin Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite as easily as it did, like what are the odds that it's going to go any better for Darkstalkers?
But that's the thing with Capcom, isn't it? We say disastrous, and it's a case of, is it disastrous as in actually disastrous, or disastrous by their standard?
Yeah, it's called the Capcom test, isn't it? They always pull out the Capcom test, don't they? We'll put out this product, and if it sells, we'll make more of it. Oh, it didn't sell millions. Never mind. They did that. They constantly did that with the Wii. Do you remember how they were like, if you want loads of good Wii Capcom games, you have to buy this one. And it's just like, but I don't want this one specifically. It's like, well, tough then. We're not going to make any more. Yeah, it's like ransom. Yeah. They've always done this.
They also did that again with the Switch.
Yeah.
With Ultra Street Fighter 2, but Ultra Street Fighter 2.
I would have preferred a port of Ultra Street Fighter 4, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that would have done better.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm honestly kind of surprised they haven't put that on Switch, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
They ported Street Fighter 4 to PlayStation 4.
And the 3DS.
They've even done Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on PS4 and Xbox One, I think. But neither one is on Switch.
Yeah.
But in general, with Capcom, I get this impression that they put all their eggs in one basket and they give everything else a shoestring budget or no string budget. So, like, their bread and butter was Mega Man in the 8-bit era. Their bread and butter was Street Fighter in the 16-bit era. And then in 3D, it became Resident Evil pretty much ever since. And they just knuckle down on those. And anything else they will make, it's like, we'll give you a tiny budget, but it better sell. You know?
Yeah, they did that with MVC Infinite too. Like, they gave it a really tiny budget. I remember they said it was smaller than the budget that was given for Street Fighter V's DLC. Not Street Fighter V, the game.
Just the extra characters,
And it's amazing to me that they thought that was a good idea for a game based on Marvel Comics, one of the biggest media franchises in the world at that time, and still is today.
Yeah, we should probably move on from this subject because we've been going on a while.
Oh my god! Yes,
it's
Wish you well, Ono. Hope you move on to greater things if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, same here. I'm
Godspeed, Ono.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. I haven't met him in person. I think.
Hopefully, he takes his blanket with him.
Yeah, his little blanket. He's in the corner. I'm sure you noticed. I always did like that. I'm actually starting to wonder. It depends how bitter he is towards Capcom, but do you think he'll put out a video on Twitter where he just throws the blanket in the bin? Wouldn't that be sad, but also hilarious? Just like, you get in the bin, dong, he's just gone. I don't know. I don't know if I'd see that happening or not, but yeah. Speaking of people going from places to places in companies, I know this is slightly older news, but Elk reminded me of it earlier. Aaron Webber from Sega has actually moved up in the world, like within the company anyway. A while back he mentioned that he was leaving the Sonic the Hedgehog social media role, essentially. And now he's going to be the director of strategy, studio, and community relations with Sega of Japan now. So yeah, he's gone up big
Wow.
time. Like he's gone from making silly posts on Twitter to, and basically bolstering the Sonic brand in the strangest way possible. But yeah.
And not just that, he actually got his start at Sega as a moderator for either Phantasy Star Universe or Phantasy Star Online Blueburst. I forget which.
Oh wow, really? Oh, I didn't actually know that.
So he mentioned.
Imagine having that on your CV.
Yeah.
So he's mentioned he's working with the teams behind Phantasy Star Online too. So he's already come full circle.
Nice.
That's awesome.
But that's not going to be the only team at Sega he's gonna work with. He's gonna work with a lot of them.
Yeah, so he's basically going to be the person that communicates between Sega Japan and like the Western Segas, basically.
That is what he's doing, as far as I understand. He's going to be.
Hopefully, he does a better job than whoever was like involved in the mid-90s.
It can't be much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Sega is really trying harder to do better as a global company right now.
Oh, big time! Yeah, like communicating with Japan.
I know they need to, because a lot of people are still under the belief that Sega Japan and Sega West are still at each other's throats. Like
that's ancient history at this point. Speaking of which, Sega have also said to PC Gamer that due to how well Persona 3, what's it called? Persona 4, sorry. Persona 4 Golden's Steam release has gone. They are actually looking into doing a lot more PC stuff, basically.
I hope
more ports of old games, especially.
I hope that means that this new Nocturne HD remaster might see a PC release.
Possibly,
that would be
because they have specified new and old games, so that will include new ports, I'm sure. Like ports
make
of
perfect
new
sense to do
remasters and stuff. Yeah.
It's weird because I could have sworn they said something similar to this a long time ago.
I'm pretty sure they did, but I think in this case they're specifying Atlas in this case, I think. Because funnily enough, if you give people a game that they can only get on a defunct handheld and sell it for cheap as a digital download, surprise, surprise, people will throw money at that.
It's almost like Persona's massive right now.
Yeah, exactly.
No
maybe port the whole series everywhere while you're at it. You may as well. I'm still surprised it's only on Steam, to be honest. I'm surprised they didn't announce it for everything else.
Switch, and I mean, I guess it's still possible.
Oh, it's definitely still possible.
Just I'll take anything that Atlas have to give me, but even like Persona 1, I will buy that if they port that on Switch, even though that game is terrible.
Well, it's just nice to be able to have like not only just like Atlas's back catalogue, but some of Sega's back catalogue and some of the other stuff they've got now.
Did I say Atlas or Sega?
I think it's kind of in reaction to how well Persona did on Steam, but it's also them just saying about new and old games from Sega in general. So it's more a case of, they've been quite selective about what they release on Steam, but I think going ahead, like kind of how they've been putting out more Yakuza games on Steam and Xbox and, just spreading the games out a bit more instead of just having because for the longest time, Sega had like certain franchises like pocketed to certain consoles, haven't they? In a way, Yakuza was always a PlayStation series for the longest time up until a few years ago.
Same with Persona.
Yeah, exactly. Persona's always been associated with the PlayStation in a lot of ways. It was almost always exclusive in some fashion for the most part. But I feel like they're just trying to get their games everywhere now, which is the best tactic.
Yeah.
More people get to play the games, more money to be made. It's common sense, really.
I mean,
even with Sonic, like they've had weird periods where some Sonic games come to PC and others don't. Like a lot of Sonic games skipped out on PC during the 90s and 2000s, whereas other random ones just came there. And
exactly.
Starting with Sonic Generations.
You didn't get like Colors or Unleashed or anything like that. But then, Lost World just randomly happened.
Yeah, and even Sonic Riders wound up on PC. I I actually had the PC version of that game growing up.
Yeah.
But like,
They've always
and
been
Sonic
weirdly
Heroes
selective
there
about
too, but,
PC
like,
games.
Even Shadow the Hedgehog didn't wind up on PC.
Hmm.
Not that I imagine a lot of people would have liked it, would have bought it if there was a PC version, but still,
Yeah.
they've been really
Nice
weird
to have
about
options.
that recently.
Yes.
It's always
Whereas
nice to have
now
options.
Whereas now they make sure to put every Sonic game on PC, whether it's a spin-off or not.
Well, PC is, it's not like the dark age of PC gaming anymore. I mean, PC gaming is essentially right up there. You know, there was a time when people looked down on PC gaming a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe like around the PS2 era, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd say that, yeah.
But it's sort of, you know, there was always a niche, but I think nowadays, I think Japan's looking at PC a lot more seriously now.
Oh, definitely, yeah. PC used to barely be a blip on Japan's radar outside of like doujin games. So
Doujin games, Falcom.
Yeah, exactly. So it feels like Japan in general is taking PC a lot more seriously nowadays.
So if I can only just get my Skies of Arcadia remaster,
yeah, that would
Preach
be
it
very
to the
nice.
choir.
I mean, they literally released a vinyl soundtrack of it not long ago, so
I mean,
it's
it's
still
not
on their minds.
It's not Sega, but like the Grandia thing happened, and I think if Grandia has enough reach, Skies of Arcadia should have as well. Because
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that
I
was
think
one of the.
it would dig up a lot of hype, not just from Sega fans, but people that have never played it that really have never had the chance to, because the GameCube game is very expensive now. So is the Dreamcast version. Yeah, it's not an easy game to play anymore. Just making games more accessible to everyone is just a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm even at the point where I'm not even asking for like amazing ports with loads of like bells and whistles. It's just let me play them.
Just let us play the games. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
they're sitting on a lot of stuff.
I've been saying for a long time that, like I mentioned, Sega made a lot of PC games before Steam, and some of the HD Dreamcast releases are even based on their PC versions, like Crazy Taxi, Sonic Adventure. Those are based off the old PC versions. But there's a lot more than that they could bring back on Steam. Or not just Steam, but on GOG as well. Like, if Capcom can put the PC version of Street Fighter Alpha 2 on GOG, which I didn't even know had a PC port until it happened, they could put like their PC versions of, say, Virtua Fighter 1 or 2, or like let's see what PC games I got. House of the Dead was on PC.
Yeah, Typing of the Dead.
Yeah. It'd be nice to see a re-release of the original Typing of the Dead. Yeah,
yeah, I'd like that. You think they would have?
That's another great example. They could put on the GOG. They could put all their games from after Steam on there as well.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's just Sega are just reaffirming, you know, that they have plenty more on the way. Yeah, and they're really going to start pushing this stuff, which is good.
I'm for one very happy about this.
Yeah.
And I guess
if they're going to bring us more nice surprises like Persona 4 Golden, then that's golden.
It also helps that PSO2 apparently has been doing really well overseas on PC and Xbox.
Yeah, it's a prosperous time for Sega. They have potential to make a lot of people happy and make a lot of money in the process. So yeah,
they just did not have cold feet about this.
Yeah,
just
do it.
Don't do what Capcom does. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I guess I'll throw in maybe one last piece of news here. So this is just a weird little thing. So sometime back in February last year, someone was just driving around the mountain areas in Japan somewhere, and they stumbled across a random Sonic statue, like a large Sonic statue on a surfboard, just hanging out amongst some trees, sort of like actually propped up against some trees. And he took a bunch of photos of it, and it was in pretty disrepair. You know, his nose was falling off. I'll show you a picture of it on the stream, actually. Wink. There it is. So yeah, this random statue was like just discovered. Apparently, it's actually owned by someone that lives in a little hut in this forest, and he basically obtained it from one of the Japanese Sega World arcades, like many years ago. In fact, I have got a photo somewhere of what it looked like when it was in Sega World. Let me just find that real quick. Boink. That should pop in a sec. There we go. Yep, that's what it looked like. Is the one photo that anyone has of what it originally looked like. So as you can see, it's got like Sega Sonic on the surfboard and a little Sonic and Knuckles logo. So it's probably like mid-90s, you know, like Sonic and Knuckles era. It was probably like sticking out on the top of like a Sega World arcade or something like that. But yeah, this statue is just owned by this old guy, and he basically just put it by these trees so people, his family, can find his house. Apparently, like that's the story to it, because someone actually managed to do some, like investigate this basically. But yeah, this thing, it was discovered it was seen last year. It's in a really horrible state. He's looked after it as much as he can, like this old man, but like, there's only so much he can do. And since all this stuff got out about it, obviously, you know what the Sonic fan base is like. They will go to the moon and back to try and get things sorted. So people were basically going back to Aaron Webber. They were asking Aaron Webber about it and saying, is there anything that can be done to restore this, get someone in from Sega to restore this statue, or have some kind of communication with this guy so they can maybe give it a paint job or something like that. Sure. And basically this all happened via the official Sonic live streams that they do occasionally on YouTube. And basically people were just like in the chat, just like, save the Sonic statue, like really hammering it home. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to look into this. He actually said it on the stream. I promise you guys, I'm going to look into this. So about a year... Oh, what's going on with the stream? Oh, it seems fine. It's just giving me some kind of error. I don't know why. It seems fine. Yeah, okay, anyway. Just, I think it was just a couple days ago, a Japanese Twitter account basically took a photo of it now, and as you'll see,
looking a lot better.
It's been fully restored. It's been given it, it's super shiny now. It's been given a proper full-on paint job. They got rid of all the like mold and the moss that was all hanging off it. And the only thing they messed up, this is just me being a Sonic fan. The only thing they messed up is his nose ain't the right shape. If you look at the original picture, that was, hang on, I'll bring it up for comparison. If you have a look real quick, you'll notice his nose is just like a circle now, whereas it was actually like sticking out before. But it's not a big deal. it's
because we're looking at it like head on.
I did see some. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like that's just how it looks like, because we're looking at Sonic's face almost straight ahead.
Looking at the disrepair version, it looks like the nose is completely broken.
Yeah, so they've had to rebuild that from scratch. So yeah, that's fair enough. They've had to build. That's the one part that was broken off. Essentially, they had to reconstruct that part of it. But yeah, the new paint job on it's really nice. They've done it all up good and proper. And this was all thanks to not only the Sonic community for jumping on like trying to get this looked into, but then Aaron Webber actually putting the communication out to get it done. And I think people were just surprised that considering what's going on right now in the world, that they actually went to the effort to go up to this like tall mountain where this random statue is, and actually, I don't know who. It's still kind of like this has literally just happened. Like this photo has just appeared on Twitter a few days ago, I think. So I don't think anyone knows exactly who's responsible for this restoration, but just to know that it's restored and it looks nice.
Yeah. Well, it's no wonder this guy has been promoted.
Yeah, exactly. If it was definitely Aaron Webber that managed to make this happen. Yeah, if it was definitely Aaron Webber that managed to make this happen, then that's because technically Sega doesn't own this statue anymore. They don't. He specifically said that in the live streams when he was communicating with people about this thing. He was like, I'll do what I can, but basically we don't own this statue anymore because it was probably just thrown out when whatever arcade it was in was
Private
closed
property
or
now, essentially.
yeah, it's someone's private property. And this isn't the only time. Well, this is the first time one of these has actually been like restored. But there is other examples of like random Sonic statues from back in the day that are lying around somewhere. But the other ones are in not so good places. Like there used to be these massive statues in. I'm just going to sort out where this Steam help thing is. I think it says Steam status poor. I hope that's not an issue. It seems like it's working fine to me. Yeah. I don't know why it's saying that because I've got no drop frames or anything.
Yeah, it's fine on my end.
YouTube's just being weird and putting this big yellow error on my screen. I don't know. But yeah, there was statues that used to be at the Australian Sydney Sega World. Like these big statues of like Sonic and Sally Acorn and Tails. And they're basically owned by some guy that just has them in a scrap heap, all like decapitated and moldy, just sitting in the like just lying outside somewhere, like with like all rain damage and stuff. And everyone that's tried to communicate with him about it, he's like, "No, it's mine." He's just like, "We want to help you restore it and stuff like that." And he's just like, "No, it's just going to sit in my. It's going to sit outside my shed and just get rained on every day, and it's just going to be." Yeah,
that's the unfortunate reality.
He's just hoarding it, hoarding them basically. So yeah, unfortunately, not as much of a happy story as what's going on with this one right here. It's quite cool that this has happened. Yeah.
I hope we get a picture of like the underside to be able to see the Sonic and Knuckles logo.
Yeah, I wonder if that's all still there. Yeah, I'd like to see more photos. So far, this is the only photo, as far as I know, of it. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see because it's basically been held up by like logs that have been like strapped together so it can hang out there. But yeah, it's quite funny reading some of these old articles from last year about it as well. Let's see what it says. They're saying it's very much a pilgrimage that should be undertaken if you plan leaving it well alone. If you try to fix it yourself, it might make the situation worse anyway. But yeah, I think this article's from before they actually found out who owns it. But yeah, they're saying about like how it's kind of, this is literally out in the sticks. Like this is in the middle of nowhere in Japan. Like it's not like somewhere you can easily get to if you were like going over to Japan for a holiday or anything. But yeah, I just thought that was cool. Cool little thing.
Like I say, I know it's Japan. They're generally like, good about this sort of thing, and it's like, I'm surprised it isn't in more damaged.
Yeah, exactly. The guy that held on to it, despite how discoloured and sort of mouldy it was still mostly in one piece, and the outside of the nose. For some reason, when it comes to like Sonic stuff, like Sonic merch in general, it's always the nose that goes first. I don't know why that is, but it's always the nose.
Probably just because it's a small piece that juts out. So
yeah, I guess so. Because, like, for example, my Super Sonic statue, my First for Figures statue, when I was rearranging a shelf at one point a few years back, I, for some stupid reason, decided to put the statue on my bed, and then he dropped down and his nose came off. So I had to glue it back on. And I don't know if you remember those old little bubblegum containers, like little Sonic bubblegum containers that came out back in early 90s. But every single one of them I've owned, the nose always came off. And there was like this little bendy Sonic figure that I think I showed off in that Sonic Tat live stream. And again, I had two of them, and both of them have lost their noses. It's just something about Sonic. He always loses his nose.
That reminds me.
Not his tail, not his ears, but his nose.
That reminds me. Years ago, back in the Wii U days, I actually ordered a Sonic statue that has Wii Remote chargers on it. And comes with its own Wii Remote batteries.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what happened?
Did your nose come off?
Yes. When it first arrived to me in the mail, the nose was detached. So I sent it back for a replacement, and it came back to me again with the nose detached. And so I sent it back for another replacement, and it finally came to me fully intact.
Ah, cool.
As if all took
3 tries for me to get one where Sonic still had his nose on him.
Now that's something you should be asking Weber about, why this keeps happening.
Yeah, it's strange.
Completely forgot that happened to me until just now.
I reminded you with all the Sonic noses.
All the nose talk.
Yeah. I guess I could just throw in.
Why it happened?
Yeah. Throw in one last thing here. So, Animal Crossing New Horizons has become the second best-selling video game of all time in Japan.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7.5 million copies sold in Japan alone.
Yeah, I was about to say that might not sound a lot when you think about like 7 million. That's like every famous game. That's worldwide. you know?
This is Japan, which is quite a small country. Yeah,
It's usually rare for them to maybe peak like 500,000 units
it's
of a game.
basically it's overtaken Pokemon Gold and Silver, which was the previous second. Yeah, and it only needs to sell another 2.75 million copies to beat the top spot, which is Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue.
Oh,
And when you think about it, that's technically 3 games they're counting as one, or 3 very similar games that they're counting as one.
Yeah.
So
you think
this is
about-
just one game. This doesn't have like a I don't know, a Rossetti edition and a Isabel edition or whatever.
Not to mention the game's still only less than a year old now.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is long before its life cycle's over.
Oh
so.
yes, this game's going to be selling for years. Like this will probably be, the main Animal Crossing for quite a few years until they decide to make another one. But I think this will be this generation's Animal Crossing like mainline game.
Yeah.
Definitely. Think of it. Do we know if this includes digital sales? Because Japanese sales cards don't usually include digital.
No, maybe not. Let's have a look. So, if just to show you just how much Nintendo dominates Japan, there's a whole top 20 list here of the best-selling games in Japan of all time, and it's almost exclusively Nintendo games, except for like one Monster
12th
Hunter.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got
One
that.
PSP
One game from Square Enix, which I don't remember.
There's a Dragon Quest game amongst here. There's,
Dragon
of course.
You'd think Dragon Quest would be one of the would have more spots on a list like this.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But it's almost entirely Pokemon, Mario. Maybe it actually game.
Maybe several Dragon Quest games actually were up there before Pokemon was introduced.
Yeah,
they definitely would have been at the time.
Wow,
yeah.
Sword and Shield is 16th. Blimey. I think that's only about a year old as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's games on there like Super Mario Land and a lot of Pokemon. And New Horizons is actually the 3rd Animal Crossing on here. Like 7th is New Leaf on the 3DS. And then I think it's... what's the other one? Oh yeah, Wild World is 10th.
So only 2 games that aren't by Nintendo are both by Capcom, and they're both Monster Hunter.
Yeah, and Dragon Quest, but yeah.
Oh yeah, and Dragon Quest,
Dragon Quest, but otherwise that's it.
And it's just and when people say, "Oh, Nintendo's going to go out of business," because like for whatever, when the Wii U wasn't doing well, or when the GameCube wasn't doing that well, people would say, "Oh, Nintendo's going out of business." Like, never forget
they're going to go third party.
They're going to go further party. It's like their portables have never ever done anything but just smash.
Mm-hmm.
Just
and if anything, like Switch installments.
Nintendo hasn't had a real Nintendo Direct in a while, so that's obvious proof that they're gonna go out of business tomorrow.
It just seems like the Switch versions of every franchise seem to be absolutely smashing it out of the park. I think it's because they got that best of both worlds approach with like a console that's also a handheld. It just makes sense for Japan. Like, Japan has always been more about handheld games. Always, like they pretty much since the Game Boy was came about. Like
commuting's a big deal in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. They loved the PSP far more than we did. They loved the Vita far more than we did. They've probably still got games coming out for the Vita. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
And it's not just Japan either. The Switch, that's really doing well worldwide.
It really is smashing it out of the park.
It's really gone over especially well with a lot of audiences, and it's on pace to I think it's already outsold the Wii, which was the second.
No, it hasn't got there just yet. Hasn't
Oh, it
got there
hasn't?
just
Okay.
no. Basically, I think that was in the news recently
It's
as
gonna
well.
get there eventually.
It just
But-
bypassed. I think it might have bypassed the Super Famicom.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's still
think
got
it-
a long
maybe
way.
I'm
It still
thinking
needs
of-
to sell about at least 40 million
Didn't it
before it gets
outsell
to the
the
Wii.
NES? Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah, it's gone
Yeah,
past. It's gone
yeah.
past the Famicom. It's gone past the Super Famicom. I think it's literally just got the Wii and the DS to get close to now. But it's got a long way to go before it gets anywhere near the Wii, and especially the DS, because the DS was an absolute monster.
Right.
Yeah,
So
absolute monster.
what I was trying to say was the Switch, the way it is, it absolutely captured the interests of most people who are especially into mobile games in particular, which Nintendo has not been able to do since the DS. And I don't think anyone ever expected them to be able to do it ever again.
I could say they can't even do it on mobile.
It's even got to a point where, and we reported this a while ago, it's actually starting to outpace even Nintendo's mobile games to the point where they're actually slowing down mobile development to focus those resources on Switch instead.
Yeah, well, that is one thing I can see Nintendo leaving is the mobile market.
Yeah, I actually would be shocked because they pretty much said that they were kind of getting cold feet over the whole like having to make the games free and then having to put kind of scummy tactics in them to get people to play them.
It's not even like their mobile games are doing bad. No, they're doing especially well, even though they're free to play and laced with more microtransactions than they ever should have. But which is par for the course for mobile games, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's just like you have to drop yourself that low to even be noticed on mobile.
It's unfortunate because
yeah.
I'd rather buy my games outright, but
people didn't even want to pay $10 for Super Mario Run.
Exactly.
That's it.
$10.
Yeah, it's just who mobile gamers are. That's not a derogatory thing. It's just that's just how they're.
People just don't buy mobile games. They don't like.
They tried it in the past.
That's just what works for mobile. This isn't Nintendo's fault. No,
of course not. It's just it just seems like the way mobile gaming works isn't really compatible with Nintendo's philosophies, I suppose. And I think they've come to realize that. They've made good money from it, but they've said, Switch is doing so much better than their mobile stuff now.
The Switch is doing so well, right? And if you consider that the Wii had so much more widespread appeal, than the Switch does, in the sense that literally everyone could want a Switch. It was cheap, and it was a console that, like I say, everyone in the family would play. That was the marketing thing, and it was like a gimmick that everyone was into. Where the Switch was it's a lot more hardcore, I would say. of a console. Not that there's not an entry level for anyone, but I think that it's not as apparent as it was.
Yes, or even DS to some extent, because the DS was very much. Most of those sales were because of brain age, training and all that kind of stuff. The Nintendogs, the casual stuff.
I bought a Nintendo Switch Lite off eBay once, and it had never been opened. And the only game that came with was Brain Age. And obviously, someone
a Switch Lite. Sorry,
DS Lite. DS Lite. And it was the only thing
you can get brain training on the Switch now, but
it's just like obviously people bought DSs in the same way some people bought Wii's and just had it for Wii Sports. And
my little sister bought a Nintendo Switch Lite just to get Animal Crossing, and my sister. The last gaming system my sister actually got for herself was the Nintendo DSi.
Yeah.
Was that for Animal Crossing as well, or?
I don't remember if she played Animal Crossing. I don't actually know. I think she played one of the Phoenix Wright games, but I don't remember what else.
Yeah. It just kind of shows just how big Animal Crossing has got now as well. I almost feel like it's close to bypassing Zelda as like Nintendo's second biggest franchise. If we're not counting Pokemon, because they don't really own it. If we're not counting Pokemon, top dog is Mario. Second is probably Zelda, but at this point, I think Animal Crossing is going past it.
It's funny. I always knew that Animal Crossing was a fantastic game. I'm a fan myself. I never thought it was I never thought it was like third best-selling game in all of Japan. Great.
Yeah, I've just like when you think about like Animal Crossing's beginnings as like a 64DD game, and then they just ported it over to the GameCube because they needed more games for the GameCube. Like it was a pretty niche game back then. It wasn't really that big of a deal. It was just like, there's this little thing we threw together. Yeah, it's just a port of an N64 game that only came out on the DD. So here you go. And it was, it had some cool elements like the whole Game Boy Advance thing where you could like inject NES unlock NES games and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't really like that big of a deal back then. It wasn't really. I think it's only when like the DS one came out that the series really started to like, wait, people actually really want this. Like it was, it's up there with like, like Harvest Moon and all that kind of stuff. But like people want those kind of like chill games where you're not fighting, you're not shooting, you're not doing violent things, or you're not even doing anything that's like,
Especially today when the world's gone totally crap.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't want to play a depressing game like, say, The Last of Us 2.
Yeah,
I mean, sales say otherwise, but
I mean, sure.
Yeah,
that game sells a lot, but it doesn't sell on this level. No,
nah. I feel like the Switch Animal Crossing might be the most well-timed video game release maybe of all time.
I think that's fair.
They literally released it just as lockdown was happening. That was totally unintentional, obviously, but my God, what a coincidence. Like, everyone's stuck indoors. They got unlimited time for a few months to just sit and chill with a game. Here's a game that takes hundreds of hours. Go nuts.
It also helps that Nintendo miraculously made the game in such a way where people have been able to actually hold a bunch of events in the game. Like, I've heard of people organizing stuff like, say, people have been putting together get-togethers through Animal Crossing. Some people actually organized a wedding through Animal Crossing.
That does not surprise me.
It's one of those games that
I can't even remember most of them.
It completely sort of like flew over my head. But I knew the game existed. I saw it on GameCube all the time when I was going into game and stuff. But it was never really. I always just assumed it wasn't for me. It was like, this is just Harvest Moon, and I already have Harvest Moon, so why bother? But then it came out for the DS, and then everyone went mental. And I still didn't play it, but I knew that this game was going to be big. And I'm only shocked that Nintendo didn't put more into it back then.
I still like going back to like when we watched E3s back when like the Wii U era, when like everyone was like begging Nintendo to make a new console, Animal Crossing, and then they revealed that friggin' party game, that Amiibo Party, which it showed up in the pound shop at one point. That's how much of a flop it was.
I'll just say that
one of the worst games Nintendo has ever made.
Yeah,
and I'll never understand why they didn't actually make a real Animal Crossing for that.
I feel
game.
like that's
for that.
It's just up there with all the plentiful mistakes Nintendo made with the Wii U. I mean, it had a lot of great Nintendo games on it, but what the hell did they do with some of their franchises? Like Animal Crossing, it was just that weird party game. Mario Tennis, it was practically a demo sold as a full game. There was just so many misdrops on that system that what are you doing?
I'd say the reason it didn't come to the Wii U is quite a simple one. You have the 3DS with a larger install base, so
that makes sense. Yeah,
and New Leaf was quite a big deal.
And there was already Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS, I guess.
Yeah,
but even then, like they make a real Mario Kart for the Wii U, and they'll make a new IP in Splatoon. And both of those will do exceptionally well. But when it comes to something like Animal Crossing, they'll make an incredibly divisive spin-off.
Yeah, it really did not go down well. The second it was revealed, it was like a party game. Even on the stream, I went, F off. It's like, what is this crap?
Funny enough, on Christmas Day, when I finally got round to playing the Amiibo Festival, I actually fell asleep playing it.
I think that whole game was just Nintendo really banking on like the amiibo thing. You know, amiibo was very successful for them, but I think they maybe threw their too many eggs into the amiibo basket with that one. They were like, "Oh, people are definitely going to want to collect amiibos just so they can tap them for a party game."
Like,
yeah,
and then Animal Crossing amiibos ended up being the worst selling of all the amiibos Nintendo made so far.
That's what I mean. That bundle of the Wii U game with the 2 amiibos that came with it, at one point it was cheaper than any other amiibo with the game and 2 amiibos. They literally had it in the pound shop for like a $5.
I
It was
only
the same deal here in the US too.
Yeah, it's completely
I still
bombed.
remember stores, they were chock full of pretty much every Animal Crossing amiibo. They were discounted to like $1 or $2.
Wow.
While any other amiibo was still its normal price. And no one wanted them. Even though you could use them with the 3DS games too.
And they're nice figures. You'd think at the very least people that like, you know, the 3DS Animal Crossing games would like them just to have figures of those characters. But yeah, it's just funny to see this series bounce back from this terrible spin-off on the Wii U that just bombed to having like the second, almost very soon to be best-selling game in Japan of all time.
Not to mention that now those amiibos are out of print. There's a lot of people who definitely wish they got them when they had the chance. Now that Animal Crossing New Horizons is out, where people after that game came out, people started hawking them online, just like they do with pretty much any other amiibo.
Yeah. I still see them around occasionally. They don't seem to be that expensive, the ones I have seen knocking around. Seems to be mostly
maybe not
like
all
the Fire Emblem ones that hold their money, and the Zelda ones always seem to hold their money.
It's a good thing I have the Fire Emblem ones.
Yeah.
There's a couple of more desirable characters in Animal Crossing who definitely are way up there in price.
Fair enough. Right, so I think with that, we shall wrap up this podcast. Yeah, that was a good one. We actually had quite a lot to talk about in the end. So yeah, that was the 83rd podcast. Hopefully I should be able, as I said at the start of the stream, I should be able to do Spelunky on Thursday. I'm going to probably schedule that up, and I'm basically waiting for my rota from work, so that should be tomorrow, I think. So I should know for sure tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I won't be working Thursday because the rota tends to be Friday to Thursday. So so join us again next week. We will do this every week as we have been doing. Whether it will be on Mondays or not is still up in the air, but you know, we'll announce them when they're ready, I guess. So I've been the Gagaman.
I've been CherryT.
I've been ShelvedGamer.
I've been Hunk Thunder.
And I'm Big Elk. And look at that. I didn't laugh throughout this whole podcast. I knew I could do it.
And with that, we'll be off. What is that? Stacey's showing me weird animals.
Oh, that's that kakapo.
Oh, it's some kind of bird. Oh, okay.
The one that was... No, that was humping a cameraman on the Stephen Fry program.
Oh, them things.
He got shut down.
No one's going to know what you're talking about.
I know.
You're just looking at random images. You're just looking at Twitter while we're... I
know who Stephen Fry is.
Yeah. Oh, you know who Stephen Fry is. That's cool.
Yeah, I know who he is. I'm surprised. I think he was the narrator from The Little Big Planet.
Yes.
He was, yeah. Oh, that's cool. Right, we'll be off then. Don't forget to Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and listen to Daddy Mulk.
Yes.
Listen to plenty of Daddy Mulk.
And also,
the Amiga version's pretty damn good.
And also, please keep washing your hands.
That too.
As a matter of fact,
while
when
watching
you
two Daddy Mulk.
Wash your hands to the Daddy Mulk song.
Good idea.
Daddy D Mulk.
Or you know what?
Daddy D Mulk.
You can also wash your hands to while singing Baka Mitai.
Oh god, yeah. If you want to be really current and relevant for 5 seconds, then yeah, do
God,
that.
we've dated the hell out of this podcast, haven't we?
Yeah, aged
well,
like
Baka Mitai
it's
is
aged like Daddy Mulk.
Baka Mitai is 20 seconds though.
Yeah, it is actually. How are people putting those videos together, by the way?
There's a script you can run if you put the source video with a photo of someone.
Oh,
and
I
you run the script,
see.
and it will merge them together and make a deep fake of it.
Oh my god, that one you did of
God.
Murray Curry was horrifying. Because like his fingers are on his face, so like his fingers are all like melting into his face, and it's just really
I gotta
spooky.
see that.
Yeah, it's on the Discord somewhere.
Yeah,
Scroll
scroll
a
up
bit,
on
you'll,
general.
Yeah, if
I
any.
saw-
Speaking of which, anyone in the chat
Yeah.
or anyone listening, if you want to join our Discord, we will send links, or maybe I'll just put a link in the description or something so people can join, because it is technically open for people. It's just we never really advertise it, I guess. But yeah, it would be nice to have more people in the Discord if they want to join in and see what we get up to and talk about games 24/7 or whatever. Yeah, I'll try and make sure I put a link somewhere.
I don't even remember how I joined or how I found out about it.
No, I can't remember either.
We invite
Yeah,
you.
I've been part of
Probably
it.
invited you at some
Yeah.
point. I don't know.
It has its benefits.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always cool to share stuff on there and whatnot. So yeah, we will see you next week at some
Bye.
point. See you later.
Right. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Everybody.
Good night and stay safe.
Hopefully, there's no
Stay safe.
tropical storms
Stay
this week.
safe or stay.
Stay safe.
Right, we're leaving.
Oh, spoonerisms, they're great.
It's so hot. I'm melting. melting.
Just like all my ice cream.
Mm.